what up? This is Lee Smith. We're back, episode 17. I got the big homie here, Bill Strobeck. That's good. Thank you for coming through.
No doubt. Thank you for having me.
For sure.
Yeah. I think somebody else might have said this, but when you come to this set and you see like how it's chopped into a square, but like when you come to it and like see how it's like, this shit is mad fun. Like it's like so different over there, guys. You can't see that. You know what I mean? It's like there's rolled up colored papers and a fucking moose's head and shit. It's like, it's pretty. So that side is weird. I'm gonna look at you, so I feel like I'm on like the corner of a.
I know you probably answered this like a million trillion times, but for me personally, I don't know. When were you Fat Bill?
Now. Like, dude, I don't know. I fluctuate like so. I'm like just that type of person. I don't know what it is. And the harder I try to like lose it, like if I jog for like 6 months, it's like worse. It's like gets worse. I don't know. Well, when I really was though, when I was like 13, 14, and 15 pretty much. Mm-hmm. And like all my friends, like the reason why my nickname was Fat Bill was because there was another Bill and he was really, really skinny. So they called him Skinny Will and me Fat Bill. And he was my boy. Like I would go stay at his house and stuff. Yeah. And we were the younger kids of our whole crew. Mm-hmm. So it was like easy for the older dudes to just be like, yo, where's fucking, you know, where's fucking Skinny Bill?
So then around 15, what did you do? You started you made some lifestyle changes or like what?
No, dude, I don't know. Something happened where, this is funny, but like something happened where I like smoked weed and I fucking thought I was like losing my mind. Like, you know how like you smoke weed the first few times and you're like, oh, like I didn't feel it. You know what I mean? Yeah, like those first few times and then the one time you're like, fuck it, let me hit that shit. And you know, that's like the time when everyone was like, fucking yeah, rolling blunts, like that, like era kind of, you know, it was definitely like 95, 94 to like 96 around then. And I don't know, I smoked this weed and then we all went downstairs in this like bar and I was kicking it in there and my friends, the girl that was with one of my friends, she was like staring at me like this. And in my head, I was like, dude, why is she staring at me? And I was like, dude, did I do something? And then all of a sudden I forgot that I asked that. And then I went on this like whole, I don't know, maybe I smoked dust or something, but I literally was like bugging and my friends like realized it, like, dude, are you all right? And I was like, dude, I'm like, I would be saying something and then I would be forgetting what I was saying. If that's what being high is, then I never want to be high again.
Something like that kind of happened to me too, and I fucking quit smoking weed real young, but.
Yeah, I don't know. I just like lost my shit and my mother's schizophrenic, like diagnosed schizophrenic. So like a part of me was like, dude, this is it. I'm going into this like other reality out of nowhere. And I think it was just like a changing point in my life. Maybe I was just going from like a kid to like a younger adult and that's what happens with your body. I just don't know. I was just really overthinking everything. And I like stayed at my friend's, this is funny, I stayed at my friend's house because he was like, dude, don't go home. Like your mother's gonna be like, what the fuck's up with you? So I stayed there, I woke up, I was still bugging. And then I had my mother pick me up and then she was driving me home and she's like, what's wrong with you? And I was like, nothing, I'm just like tired, like whatever. I was answering her, but I was like in my head like, dude, this is it. I'm like fucking triggered. You know what I mean? And that's what happens with schizophrenia is like something happens, it triggers something and then you're like talking to yourself and then you're arguing with yourself or something. Like my mother would be like talking to herself and laughing and she was really actually like fucked. So I had that in my head. At the same time, I'm like, dude, I'm overthinking everything. Went home, went downstairs. I had a room, like my room was like in the basement. Like they made this whole room for me. And I was like, forced myself to throw up. Like it was like on like some tweaked fucking thing. And for like 2 or 3 months, I was just really in my head a lot. And I just like at that point, like, wasn't like eating and shit like as much and like I lost like dude, people were like, dude, you're wicked skinny, like how you dropped like fucking 70 pounds or something. Like not 70, I wasn't like, I was just like a husky kid. I was just shorter chunkier, and I was just, you know, just out of shape, like, you know what I mean? But I like got really skinny at one point. I was like the complete opposite.
Shit. Well, for the record, I used to be a fat fuck too.
I mean, I think it's part of
LA.
like being a kid. Like you at a certain point, you can fucking eat like 16 donuts and 4 slices of pizza, and you're not gonna get fat. Your metabolism is just like, bring it on, motherfucker. You can eat as mad candy and everything. But I don't know. It's like my mother and grandmother got like the canned goods that were like high fructose corn syrup in them, and like they didn't think like that. They were just like, what's the cheapest shit? You know what I mean? So you're eating that shit, and you're just like, you're not even thinking when you're a kid what you're eating. You're just eating whatever you're given. And you're like, dude, this tastes good, so I'm gonna, you know, let me get more. It's just, it's a weird thing. Like if you don't have like a family to kind of like tell you like, dude, you're gonna eat a little healthier. Like, you know, you should work out. It's like you can do whatever you want. We don't really know how to like, you know, 2 ladies, you know what I mean? Like they're just kind of like hoping that you'll turn out all right, really.
Sure.
Yeah, so.
Damn. And you, growing up in Syracuse, you grew up with Kyle Dimmers and like Todd Jordan. How close were you to those guys? Like, how did you?
I wasn't super close with those guys because they lived Todd lived in Kingston, and I didn't meet him until I came to New York. Kyle I met because he lived in Albany, which is 3 hours away.
Oh, okay.
But skateboarding really was like you would travel around with your friends. It's like where I grew up, we would skate this museum called the Everson Museum, which is like there's the illest museum. Like there's shit to skate there, and it's like a plaza, but like they would let you skate it because they considered skateboarding an art form. So they're like psyched that skaters to go. So people from all the different areas, like an hour away, 20 minutes away, they would all go to this place and link up. So it's to be like, damn, the Albany kids are here.
Yeah.
Or whatever. Like the dudes from Binghamton are here, you know, or like, you know.
And you were the local guys. That was like your spot.
Yeah, like I didn't grow up right in Syracuse. I grew up like, you know, 10 miles outside of Syracuse. But my mother, like I said, she let me do whatever I want. I feel like she let me do whatever I want because she felt super bad that she wasn't around that much when I was young. When I was younger, she kind of like, she was sick and she was like out of the picture, and it was just kind of like me and my grandmother. But when they found the medication for her, she kind of came back into my life, and she was like, I think she felt kind of guilty. So she was like, if you want to skip school, like don't go to fucking school. Like she didn't tell me, but I was like, fuck you, I'm not going to school. Like I was kind of like that, like kind of like a little dick kind of in a way, like on a like I was just a spoiled kid because I'm an only child, and I just kind of like wanted what I wanted. Like I knew in my heart I wanted to go skating and hang out with the Darryls that were hanging out in the city. Yeah. So I was just like, drive me to the city, drop me off. And then in 4 days when I'm like, shit, I haven't eaten for a day and a half because I don't have any money left. It's like, dude, will you come get me and go home for like 5 days and then get ready to like, I'm coming down tomorrow. Like, you know, everyone was psyched to hang out with each other.
Did you have a pager or something? How would she get in touch with you?
No, I just called from a payphone.
Oh, okay.
She just trusted, like my friend, like the older kids definitely like looked out for me, like how, you know, I would look out for somebody that's like, hey, like I'll make sure this kid's okay, you know what I mean? And like, I had like a crew of kids they were tough kids. Like they would fight people and shit. It was like, you know, skaters back then had to stick up for themselves, especially East Coast kids. It's like, it's like, it was no joke. Like they're fighting people all the time, you know? And like, yeah, like in school, like you're the only 1 or 2 skaters, and you have to like, you go out in the parking lot and you're fighting like 5 dudes. That shit was real
like
back then.
Dudes?
Yeah, like jock dudes that just thought you were weird for like coloring your hair, or like you had fucking size 42 pants on or whatever. It's like, that shit was weird.
That was like normal, and now they call that bullying these days.
I know. I mean, well, everything's so like, oh, I'm getting bullied now. It's like, dude, you had to fucking be like, you know, this dude's bullied me to the point where it's like, fuck it, throw down with this dude, and just, they won't fuck with you again. But like, it's really about stepping into that thing. It's like a hazing thing. You get the one dope jock dude, the one dude that's like the quarterback or whatever, and he's the dude that everyone's dressing like and being like because he gets the chicks and shit. you get that dude to talk shit to you, and then the other fucking shrinks are talking shit to you, and then it's like, fuck, man, like. Fortunately enough for me, they thought I was so fucking weird that they were like, dude, you're cool. And I was friends with everyone. So I was like, they just thought I was like super, like, dude, you're fucking weird. Like, I can't believe you're wearing those pants here. Like, and everyone's in like, you know, fucking Z Cavaricis and button up fucking polka dotted shirts looking like 90210 or whatever. Like the whole fucking school looked like that, you know what I mean?
So who was your skate crew then? Like, like your immediate
the name of the
crew?
crew, I mean, they had a crew, like everyone had their crew, like, you know, like EMB or whatever, we had our crew, it was the EVS kids, and they're the Everson Museum kids, and it was just like, dude, we had a sick crew, like, you know, graffiti kids and like whatever, they would just all hang out down there, and it was sick, and like chicks would come down, like, you know, Betty's type shit, you know what I mean? There was always like the one or two girls that rolled with us and would hook up with half of us or whatever. It was just pretty.
Is that spot still there?
Yeah, it is.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I've been trying to.
Kids still skate it and stuff?
Kids still skated. I just went down there like during Christmas to see if anyone was down there, and there was like snow all around, and then there was just this one patch where there was no snow, and they were just skating right there. Like,
that's so sick.
Yeah, it was super sick. It was like, it's like what I would have done.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For sure. And no, I've been like trying to like maybe talk, like I'm having talks with people about having my films play at that museum, like be a part of the museum, like slowly starting now, like, and like just thinking like I grew up starting to film there, and you know, and
that's
all
crazy.
the stuff I've gone through and where I'm at now, like it would be amazing. I mean, I would rather the video, like, you know, like something like Blessed be playing in there than any other museum, because it makes sense, and they've been so dedicated to being cool to skateboarding. It's like, I don't know.
And nostalgically for you, I mean, it really hits close to home. It's like to the heart, because it's like, this is the place that like kind of.
Without a doubt. And I always tell all my old friends to like, let's do a weekend in the summer, you know, because everyone's like, even the kids that are older than me, I'm just like, dude, and they all have kids and they all have like jobs and like doing other stuff. And I'm like, come on, y'all, like, let's get together like one weekend over the summer. Like, we'll stay in a hotel, but we'll go skate Everson the whole weekend and kind of just have like a group like a fun little thing. And you know, it's really hard. It's really hard. Everyone's like, you know, some people are in Vegas, some are in Oregon, and you know, they're just, everyone's all over, but it would be super sick. But
how'd you start skating in the first place? Like, how did that come into your world?
I can't remember. I think I seen a magazine, and I was like flipping through it. Like somehow I came across the magazine, whether it was at a store or something, in '89 possibly. And I remember seeing like Nodis and being like, or I remember seeing like a photo of Nodis. He wasn't even skating. He just looked cool, and I was like, damn, that looks cool to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then, I kind of feel like I started in Watertown, New York, because like my mother was sick, and I moved to Watertown with my aunt and uncle, who were really young. They were like 18 to 20, like, and they were taking care of me. You know what I mean? Just like a young relationship, but they had to take care of me. But they were down too, and there was kids in the neighborhood that skated. And then in downtown Watertown, there was like a Woolworths parking lot that was underneath like an overhang with a curb under it. You know, those like typical parking lots with the manual curb. And like you'd go down there and you'd see kids skating, and I'm talking about like Streets of Fire days and like those type of videos, and like, you know, like ollie hole patches like glued on, and like just punk skate kids, like, you know, that didn't want to be like everyone else. And I think I like, for some reason, just felt like that felt right, you know what I mean? And I didn't want to be like everyone in my school. I think I just knew that. And it's weird, because when you discover that scene, like, you already kind of feel different when you're young, and then you discover this group of people, and then you're like, whoa, like, this is where I kind of belong, right? Like, you feel. Yeah, I don't know. There's something about that at that time. It was definitely an outcasty thing, and I don't know, an inner rebel feeling that was just like, it wasn't like I don't want to be like the people in my school or anything. It just felt like, dude, I want to like be something else. I don't know. It wasn't wanting. It just, it was like a feeling, you know what I mean? Especially then, dude, you know?
Like an attraction.
Yeah, I don't know. It was just like, that looks cool to me. Like nothing else looks cool like that does.
Yeah.
And I think that, I don't know, I got a skateboard, and I think my aunt bought me like a Veriflex or a Volterra. It was one of those two from a Kmart, and it was like, you know, a dude on like a fucking like a razor blade wheel that's spinning around, cutting everything up, and it was like real punky, like funky, you know, colors and whatever. I got that board. I remember like being like, whatever, it wasn't right what I wanted. I think I was just like, dude, thank you for getting me the board, kind of thing.
Yeah, but you're like,
rolling around the neighborhood, and there was other kids skating, and then we would skate like 3 miles to downtown Watertown to be around, and just you'd go down there, and there's like, you know, like older teenagers just like doing like fucking lip slides to fakie on a curb and shit, and you're like, dude, that, and they're mad cool too, and they like to see other people. So I don't know, there was something about it. And then everywhere I went, it was just always where I was or something. Like there was some kids that I moved back to, you know, North Syracuse, and then there was kids skating at my school, and they were just like, you know, and then that was the time period when it was like blind guy and all that shit, and everyone's wearing baggy pants, and like I was just like, dude, I'm like you guys, you know what I mean? And then getting like Tim and Henry's, you know, it was like past the 8th Street shit, but like another thing was the reason, you know, another thing that happened to be the reason I started skating was there was stores you would rent VHSs from, not a Blockbuster, but it would be like, you know, something way smaller. Like, where I grew up, it was like, you know, I don't even know what it was, like Video King or whatever. There was like these like independent ones, and there was a sports section, and Animal Chin, Hocus Pocus, and maybe like Band This were there, and a Savannah Slamma, and I would rent them and just like late fee those fuckers, and I would just watch them over and over. And 8th Street, Hocus Pocus, like the vibe I got from that is really, that possibly might be like the real, like, I love this, like this is cool, like that there was something about the vibe of those videos. I think they were real,
I remember,
real authentic.
And you just watch it like over and over.
I mean, you just watch it, you'd be laying in your bed like, not even looking at the TV, just like listening to that shit. And like, there's like that shit where you'd want to record it, and like you get in the car and put the tape in of like what, you know, you were just, it was an addiction. It was not like a certain kind of a drug, kind of, you know. You were just like, you know, and it was funny being on the East Coast when all you guys were like filming shit on the West Coast. Like for example, like virtual reality came out, and I remember like everyone came to Syracuse. They were all in town, and everyone went to somebody's house to watch. Like somebody had copied it from somebody, and they'd sent it from a different city to us, and we all went over, like, you know, 25 of us all went over to my friend Corey's house, and like, cause his mother wasn't home from work, and we all watched it, and we were just like, dude, it was just like,
it was fucking mind blowing.
It was mind blowing, and then you would go out and try to do those tricks, and as you're learning those tricks, these guys have already moved on to different tricks. So then when you'd see the next video, because videos didn't come out that much. Yeah. So when you saw the next video, you're like, fuck, man, like, we're gonna, like, yeah, it's like, oh, pressure flips are in, like 1281 new deal, like, and that type of shit. You're like, everyone's trying to do that. It's like really funny how that goes. Like, if you're not creating your own shit that people can be like, well, I want to be like that, you're just mimicking what everyone else is doing. But, you know, I don't know. It was that time period, like the feeling was so fucking bananas, you know, and especially because you couldn't see that much. Yeah. Like being able to see things so often now, you kind of like, oh, I just shun it.
It's not the same feeling.
Yeah, yeah, and it's, I'm not dissing this time period because, you know, like I said, like kids are growing up in this time period and they've found their niche like how we did in that, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, this shit's whack, or like whatever. Dudes will like mute like somebody's story, or, you know, and you know, it's just like, you don't need to see it if you don't want to. That's true. It's just like, it's really accessible though, you know, and it definitely affects what skateboarding is. It's definitely, you know, skateboarding's like 50 different things right now, you know, and it's just, you kind of choose the like which one you like. But anyways, back to like Todd and Kyle, like, yeah, Kyle, I met him, and I get money for saying Kyle Demmer's name, so yeah, there you go.
Do I get money? Kyle Demers.
We would go to Albany because there would be demos there. There'd be demo, like Deluxe had a demo there, and it was like, you know, like James Kelch and fucking Mandoli, and like, you know, there was like dope fucking dudes coming to that, but like we would all drive to go see the demo, you know what I mean? Like 3 hours. Like nowadays, if there's a demo, like
do people even still do demos? Is that a thing?
But they should. I love demos.
It's like not a thing anymore.
Because
right?
people don't want to spend money on unnecessary things. It's like, dude, I think demos are cool.
Yeah. Now it's like random events, like kind of like demos. They're not really, you know?
Yeah. Like Albany had fucking sick demos. Like no one was coming through Syracuse really.
Yeah.
I just people didn't know. They felt like Albany, the capital of New York.
We went to Schenectady, I remember.
Schenectady was like I feel like that demo
maybe City Stars.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I think they had demos there. I mean, I went to a few in Albany. It was like there was a ADU.
Oh yeah.
It was Ron Allen and Johnny Fonseca, and we were getting chased by the cops all the time. But dude, Ron Allen and Johnny, they were the coolest dudes. They were like, dude, come on, let's go. And like, you're like, fuck, they said we could go with them, you know, whatever. That shit was sick. But no, like the real demo was super tight, and they had like an invisible demo and stuff. And it's like, I'd go up there and I'd see Kyle, and Kyle's the same age. So, and he was like pretty good at skating, and he was like friends with, like his friends would come to Syracuse and kick it with our friends, you know what I mean? So it was like when we'd go to Albany, we would all get packed in with these dudes, and like there was good skaters from Syracuse, like everyone, like half of them were like good enough to be sponsored, but no one ever like did the Cali thing where it was like, dude, we're going out to Cali to go for it. It's like, dude, they were hometown heroes, and they were like, dude, for some reason we had like.
Were you guys coming down to the city a lot?
No, I didn't go down to the city. I think they might have went down to the city a couple times, and they came back, and like, you know, the older dudes are like, dude, New York is so fucking sick. And you know, it fucking 94, 95, 96, like going to New York, it was you're going to the banks. There's no kick out anywhere. The city's like, you know, it's grimy and fucking real, you know what I mean? And I remember some of the kids coming back and like, New York's where it's at. And then like, you know, a couple years later, like 96, end of 96, 97, me and all my friends got in 2 different cars and went. Our friend Ben, Ben Dietz was, he was going to University of Penn, and he was like, you know, he's like the smartest kid out of us all, and he skated and shit. But we were like, dude, Ben said to like for us all to come down, so we all got in 2 different cars and like journeyed down to Philly, and then like we were down there, and it was like debaucherous, like everyone's hooking up with girls, and we're going to Skate City Hall and Love, and we're rolling in a pack to Love, no one's fucking with us, but the local kids are like, damn, who are these kids? And like, oh, the Syracuse sick. They were down for us like right out the gate, because it was like we had like a crew of kids that were like not like, they weren't shook, you know. So but it was like crazy. And then I met a girl down there, and then like whatever, we kept in touch, and then like 4 months later, I like moved down there or something, and I like stayed there. Like, yeah, my mother was bummed. Like, she's like, dude, you're leaving? I was like, dude, there, you know, my girlfriend was like.
How old were you?
I was 17. I've never moved back home. I never moved back home since then.
That's
kept
crazy.
it real. And I've also couch surfed for half the time, so whatever. But
I did a lot of that too.
yeah, but it's like what you do. It's like you don't want to get a job because you want to be out. I mean, just like in Syracuse, like, I would go and hang out with the kids that quit school and skated with them. And the dudes that like their parents made them go to school, they would come down at 4 and skate for the rest of the day. And like, we'd all kick it and like go to like Subway, and because our friend worked there, he would give us free shit, you know what I mean? So it was all those little loopholes back then because no one had money. Nowadays, everyone has money somehow, and like, yeah, you can go to fucking Balthazar with your friends. It's like, that shit it would never be like that back then. Yeah.
When you would come down to the city, was there ever a vibe from like the city guys, as you guys being like the upstate kids? Did you ever?
I never felt that way. I don't think I was to the point where I was Philly deep, you know. I was 7 years in Philly before I moved to New York. And when I moved to New York, like, yeah, me and my chick split up, and it was just like, I've had a girlfriend for like 7 years, really, you know what I mean? And when I came to New York, it was like, fuck everything. And New York was so fun when I first moved here in 2002. And I'd been coming up since like 98 because I'd been filming Wenning and Pappalardo on them and like Dill, you know, for Photosynthesis. And I mean, just coming up and seeing Dill living in this loft space on Canal Street with his friends, and that there's like a real like, you know, pretty big time successful model that lived with him. So you're just seeing all this shit you've never seen before, especially in Philly.
Yeah.
Philly was like skate, go home, wake up, skate, go home, do a generator at night. It was like, that's all we did. There was like, we went out in Philly, but it wasn't like New York going out where you're like, holy shit.
There's nothing like New York going out.
There's nothing like New York, but especially at the time when I first came to New York, and I was staying with Dill on Canal Street, but he was like, I wouldn't even go out with him. I was like super green, never like did anything really too troubly, like, and Dill was just like going out and coming back, and there'd be like all these chicks with them, and they were just like having like the sickest time. Like I'd just be like sitting on the computer, like the PC computer, like listening to Napster, like just downloading music and like listening to like, dude, I wonder when they're gonna come home, fall asleep, and then like hear the door open and just like the party's extended over to the crib. And you're just like, dude, this is like, and you know, like Dill is like, you know, he's so sick right around that time. And like, you know, he was just at that age where it was like, nothing was stopping him. Yeah, and he just like he has the style, and it was sick for me to see somebody like where you kind of like, you know, I'd put him on a pedestal kind of, but he was so cool to me, you know what I mean? Like that you didn't feel like this, he didn't make you feel like he was way bigger than you in any way. He was just like, dude, I'm down for you. Like, I just want you around all the time. And that's how it felt. But dude, those times are unreal. Like you can't relive that. It's just like, you know, him coming home, me pulling the camera out, and these dudes like, you know, having like, and he's got all these people with him that don't skate, so it's like pretty interesting, you know. It's like a fun scene. Of like... But it was really, I think, you know, also because of Dill, like I was included in the scene right away. It's like, dude, I was rolling with Dill, and like Dill was gonna like, he's gonna like.
It's weird that he came out here as a Cali kid and got so like integrated into the scene here.
Yeah, and I mean, he'd been coming. I mean, the thing is, he was on World and 101 when he was younger, so like him coming out here, I think, you know, he might have been like younger dude or whatever, but they took him under their wing, you know, like Mike Hernandez and like, you know, probably like Huff and them. I feel like those guys were like grand, but like I feel like they weren't going to be dick to Dill, like kind of like in a way where it was like, dude, he rode for 101 in World, and that shit was the sickest. So it's like, you know, this dude's like,
so sick.
Yeah, the sickest. Dude. Like based my whole like fucking like youth on that shit in a way, you know what I mean? Like, you know, that, and like, I don't know. Dill's good at navigating too, and he's not a soft dude. He's like a tough kid. Like even though if he was like little, I don't know what he was like then, but like he can stick up for himself.
I mean, he came to SF and hung out with all of us too, and he used to hang out with like Maurice Key. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
That was like such a random duo, like Maurice Key and like Dill.
Yeah, I mean, Dill was down to smoke weed and like whatever, and Dill's like such a good skater. So it just, I mean. When I was in Philly, I had like this tack board, and it had like a bunch of random shit on it. But the one skate thing that was on it was this sequence of Dill doing an ollie over the corner to back tail on some ledge. It was in his like pro spotlight. But I remember being like, dude, that dude looks sick, super sick. You know, 4 years after that, I'm like going down to New York to film him. You know what I mean? It's like. I don't know. It's really funny.
Dill, he was like one of the first person that I saw that would like started taking artistic, like actually like instead of doing the hardest trick, just like taking a more artistic approach to things. Like he would like tell photographers like, hey, I think this looks really cool. Like it could be like a nose wheelie on like a certain.
Like that circular thing.
Yeah.
In photosynthesis. It's like.
I remember tripping on that at the time, being like, this is different. This is like art.
I think this is what happens when you go to New York. It's like. And this is something even in Philly that didn't happen. It's like in Philly, like you're kind of around dudes and you're like, man, I can't really go outside of this because they're gonna like, fuck with me or whatever, and you're being a kid or whatever. But in New York, I felt like you could come up here and just express yourself. I mean, you're around so many different people, a lot of people that don't skate. You could wear whatever the fuck you want. And it's like, Dill for me was like, Dill's reading books about like Velvet Underground and like all these different things, you know what I mean? And he was like, he's really fucking smart and like, he can like, absorb information, and you can ask him something. He's got like a photographic mind. He can like literally like tell you anything about, you're like, what's up with that book? He could go right into it, But seeing him step outside the box was a motivation for me to be like, dude, I can do whatever I want to, you know what I mean? And I think like, at first you're like, iffy, can I do this? But you kind of have that option in New York, I think, more so than a smaller town, without a doubt. Like you kind of, in a smaller town, you're looking to see what dudes are doing in skateboarding, and you're, like I said, you're mimicking it in a way. It's like, dude, we got to do like that or we'll never get sponsored. And that's what I like try to tell people, like you get sponsored by actually doing something that's not like what everyone's doing, or you get picked up because it's like, dude, that dude's trying something new and it's noticeable and it's actually really cool,
That's true.
So within anything, you know what I mean? Photography, style, like skating, anything. It's like there's always someone that comes along every once in a while and like does something that it's like, dude, we need it like that. He's killing, like he's doing his own thing, or we'll pick him up and pay him because he's doing something epic, and different.
Did you ever think about trying to be sponsored or anything like that, or were you just kind of like?
No, I was like pretty good, like but I had problems with being confident with skating. You know what I mean? It was like I could like nollie back heel off the ledge at Love and fakie flip off the ledge at Love, and like, but dude, it was like every now and then I would land it. You know what I mean? It wasn't like consistent. As much as I tried, I think my laziness was just could take over at me at any time. You know what I mean? I was just, I don't know. I would like try some shit and then I would get broke and then I'd be like, fuck man, I don't know if I want to try that again. It was just very difficult for me. I'm not like a hard dude like that where I was just like, yeah, fuck that. That get me hyped that I got fucked up. I'm going to try it more. It's just like, I'm just not like built like that. But idea wise, I felt like I knew what I liked and I wanted my skateboarding to look like, you know what I mean? And I just knew at a certain point, like I wasn't gonna like make it to like a standard where I could be sponsored and, being sponsored and stuff is like, and being pro and all that, it's super sick and it's a fast paced thing. But I feel like, I don't know, maybe something intuitively wise, like survival wise, which has like been my whole life kind of. There's longevity in what I do.
That's funny that you say that, because that was gonna be my next thing. And I said, I talked about it with RB a little bit, is that like back in the days, a lot of filmers started filming because they felt like they weren't gonna be sponsored, but they still wanted to be around it.
Exactly.
But then fast forward like 10 plus years, they're still in the game, and a lot of the pro skaters are like gone.
Well, this pro skate life is like, you get burnt, and it's like, where do I take it? You know what I mean? And I've seen dudes come and go, like the best, and like, but I think that like, I love skateboarding, you know what I mean? I love the lifestyle. I love the people that find their way to this thing, and not even trick wise. Like, I just like and what I show in all the videos and stuff I've done is exactly what I was doing with my friends at Everson Museum. Like, that's exactly what we're doing, hanging out, like whatever, just doing whatever. It was just, I lived in Philly and I hung out. Like, that's all I did. I went down to, if I wasn't skating, I would go down to Love and sit there and talk shit and like whatever. I was just doing what I was doing there. I'm still doing that, you know what I mean? It's like, some people might say like, fucking grow up or whatever to do this, but it's like, dude, I'm not sitting in a fucking desk in an office. Like, that doesn't seem fun to me. And it's not, it's like, yeah, cool, you get paid a lot more or whatever, this and that. Maybe you don't, like, you know what I mean? But there's something about being in the streets that I feel like I'm living my life. And, you know, when I'm 78 and I'm not like going out into the fucking streets as much, I'll look back or like I'll feel like, dude, whatever I got to do what I did. You know, I don't know. There's like, you don't have to take 100%. You don't have to take it that far. Like, oh, well, in the future I'll look back and say it's just like really feels like I feel like my world is so much bigger. You know what I mean? And I don't want to close that off as much. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, like the people that I skate with and that I'm around make life fun. You know what I mean? It's like a fucking, you don't need it. It is a movie. It's like, you know what I mean? It's weird. Yeah, I'm in like an interesting, you know, like it's funny, like my mother always brings up, like my grandmother used to say to me, like, and you know, she comes from the old school, like the 1920s and shit, but she would always like, and I was trying to skate and learn, and like, she would be like, why are you doing, like, you learn a trade, like you're gonna be a fucking bum when you're older, like that. She would tell me this, and I'd be like, the more you don't want me to do it, the more I want to do it. You know, it's like, and yeah, I'd be outside trying to like kickflip a board on its side. It is a gamble. I'm not saying anyone can do this shit. Like, you know, really what it comes down to is if people can hang with you and they're cool with you, because it's like once there feels like, you know, they're not cool with you, it's like you're fucking pushed out. Like it's a weird thing, but I know how to, I've navigated in it, you know what I mean? And it's like, I've seen like 3 or 4 generations at this point, and it's pretty interesting. But
in Philly, did you see at Love Park, I heard there used to be like a lot of internal beef there, like within the skaters, like different crews.
I hung out with like the crew that hung at Love, you know what I mean? Whether you're like sitting there with them talking or you're sitting over on another side, it's like it's funny, but all the crews would come down to Love. Like, you know, maybe at a certain time, like Wolf and the dudes that he was filming at the time, they would go off and just do other shit. But they had been going to Love for years before I got there, you know what I mean? Like every now and then, Matt would come down to Love, Reason, or Ricky, or you know what I mean? And Fred was from Jersey, so every now and then he would come up. But those dudes and Stevie are the reason why I moved to fucking Philly. I was like, wow, I met this chick here. She wants me to move here, and I get to go skate Love every day. Like, it was like so nostalgic. It was like I had been watching 4-on-1s, and you would just see a little glimpse of Philly. Like Freddie doing something, or you know, you'd be like, you know, like, or like Ricky's fucking profile or something. You'd be like, fuck, it just feels, it feels heavier than what's going on where I live. Like, it's just like, that's the next step. Like, I just want to go there.
Wasn't it kind of like Stevie's crew versus like Ricky Oyola's crew, or like something like that?
I don't know. I think at first it wasn't like that, and I didn't live there at the time. But when I lived there, those dudes weren't really going down there as much. Every now and then you would see them skate through or skate by. But maybe there was some like weird animosity. I can't speak for those guys, but like dudes were getting popular, dude. You know what I mean? And it's like, yeah, Stevie was popular, and he already had sponsors since he was like younger. But like Rick, Serge, and those guys were getting sponsors. They're getting the limelight. But there was a lot of good kids down there, but they just happened to not, you know, Rick and them just didn't happen to roll with them, or they didn't get to roll with them. And I feel like there was kids down at Love that like, well, dude, these kids are sick dudes. Like, why aren't these guys getting the shine? So it's like, yeah, and back then, getting any type of shine was good. Like like nowadays, you could be any kid and your friend's gonna film you with your phone and you're gonna see every kid skating. But back then, like filmers, like even when I was filming, I would be like, nah, I can't go. Like, I would be picky and choosy. Like, I would be like, oh yeah, I can't go out with you today. I'm going out with Josh or something. I'd be always pick who I wanted to go out with. You know what I mean? Who I wanted to see.
The dudes probably could get mad at you about that too, right?
There's been times throughout the time that like dudes are like, fuck you, you only go out with us. And it's like, I don't know. I don't, you know, don't talk to me. Like, hey, whatever. I just felt like, all right, let me just like not answer this dude's phone when he calls. Like, if you're gonna be mad at me, like whatever. Like, but like Philly was shit talking champions. Like as soon as you walked in Love, you had a nickname. Like literally be sitting with Pulowski, Pappalardo, and like a couple other people, and like somebody roll and be like, fuck yo, like fucking just shout out some like fucking name, like dude, shit was so funny, and we'd be like, dude, like it was just like that, but we were kids and that's fun, you know, and yeah, I don't know, there was all these animosities like with different people, like dude, there was dudes down there that didn't even skate that would be like, yo, fuck you, I heard you were talking shit. It's like, dude, like, everyone talks shit. You talk shit when I don't know it, you know, like, not even talking about me, like, there's some dude coming to me, but everyone, like, it was just that time in your life where everyone's kids, and like, yeah, dude, in Philly, the scene was...
It was a little harder. It was a little rougher around the edges.
It was rougher, but the scene was big when Josh and Stevie were doing it. Like, it was fucking phenomenal, and I was in the center of that shit, and it was like... Yeah, big dudes were getting like weird with other big dudes, you know, and it just felt like, no, I'm the dude, or I'm the dude. It's like, dude, it just, there was a lot of eyes on Philly. Everyone was coming to Philly. Like people from Germany were coming to Philly. Like Jeremy Ray was coming to Philly. Like it was hot.
It was like a thing. It was like go to Love, you know, do something down the gap
became a thing, but like, you know, it'd be funny because like, I'll go to Philly now, and you know, dudes are super cool, but I've seen times where I felt like they were kind of like the locals they're supposed to be, you know what I mean? And where they're like getting in the way, or like, you know, we did that.
Yeah.
So I ain't even like mad at that when I see those kids doing it. I'm like, dude, that's just some shit. But I always say like, you know, I feel like dudes could get more out of sponsorship and shit if they were cool, you know what I mean? I always like say like, you know, I was talking to someone like, dudes like cork themselves in a way, you know what I mean? But dudes don't give a shit, you know what I mean? When I lived in Philly, like dudes did not give a shit. They weren't looking to get sponsors. They were just living their life. You know what
was
I mean?
the daily routine like back then? Like what were you guys
wake up, and it's funny, like I feel like Whole Foods had just opened up at a certain point. I mean, obviously there was no Whole Foods at the beginning, but like at a certain point, I think when I was like really in the like mix, like Pappalardo, Wenning, Stevie, Josh, Carrie, Rob, it was like a fucking psycho crew, you know, every day. It was just like 3 or 4 dudes are gonna meet up.
Yeah.
It'd wake up, I lived in the Art Museum area with my girlfriend, go down, like you'd skate down the hill, there's a Whole Foods right there, grab something to eat, skate down the parkway to Love, just be there. Like, dude, I'd be there at like 1:30, no one would be there. I'd be like sitting there, and then all of a sudden like some dude trickles up and you're like, what's good? Like, and then you're hanging with them. And 2 more come, and then, you know, 4 o'clock, like dudes are getting out of their college classes and come, you know, but there was a lot of people, you know, so fun, super fun, you know, and
that's amazing.
Philly took super hits with like City Hall getting taken down, Love Park getting taken down. I'm like, dude, that was gnarly, like to take that away from the skaters there, and Municipal's still going off, and it's actually, I think it's sick. Like right now I feel like it looks good. Like it's super fucking beat up, and it looks way better now than it did in the 90s, I think. It's just, there's a lot to it. And those kids hold it down. Like they're sitting down there and hanging out like how we did, you know what I mean? I mean, that's what you do in Philly. You do that, you go down to South Street. I mean, I don't know if that's what the kids there do now, is like go down to South Street later in the day, go to Ishkabibbles and like whatever, but I follow like some of the kids. There's like a young filmer kid, AJ Mack, that I follow, and he like hits me up all the time with questions about filming, and like he's a cool kid. I'm like, dude, you're like me when I was younger, like you know what I say that, but you know, watching his Instagram, it's like dudes are fighting, dudes are like going to like a hotel to play pool because it's like free pool. It's like, that's sick. That's the essence of all this shit, you know. If you're doing that, like it's, you find those ways to like get by. I love it.
Sure.
I love that. It's like the funnest thing. Like back in the day, they did the magic dollar. Philly, that no one had money.
That, the tape trick?
The tape trick. Philly, no one had money, and dudes like knew at the Greyhound station you could go with the magic dollar and just put the thing in, and like, dude, you can get $15 out of the
How would it work? You'd tape it, you'd put it in, and then you'd pull
So you
it
would
out
take a
and
dollar bill and you would put clear tape on each side, but it would be on the line of the dollar. So the end of the tape was right on that line. So if it went in a machine, the machine wouldn't catch it, would just think it's that line. So they wouldn't know, and it would go down in the thing, and then you would press the coin return and pull it out at the same time, and $1 of change would come out. you'd get like 15, 20 bucks. And 15, 20 bucks in like 96 was like tight.
240s, dinner, like Burger King.
I mean, I know dudes that would take hand-me-down sneakers and their toes would be like that, and they would be like, dude, I mean, it's 2 sizes too small, but like that's all I got, but they would run it and you'd be like, dude, that's insane.
I used to call that size free. I wear size free.
Yeah, size free. No, I love that shit. I wish it was more like that today, you know what I mean? It's like, seriously, like,
well, that's crazy.
You could be like a random kid with like, you film 3 things and like hit up somebody at Nike and they might send you some shoes. It's like, that's how crazy it is.
Well, I was gonna say, I go to the skate park and these kids are decked out from head to toe with like all the newest shit. I'm like,
because nowadays, I think companies like say like, you don't have to be good. Mm-hmm. Like if you're gonna be at the skate park every day, you're a billboard for us anyways. Like, and like, why not give half the people down at LES some Nikes? So it's like, they're gonna be down here.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're good, and that's an interesting thing. Yeah. I don't know. Well, like literally, like being a dick is like the worst thing now. Like if you're a dick, like no, everyone's like, if you're like a dick, it's so easy to then call you out on Instagram, and then everyone's like, yeah, you are a fucking dick. All right, well, fuck that dude. It's really interesting, man, because it's like, if you were a dick like back in the 90s and you were a dick in like the early 2000s, you were like, shit, I want that. I want acceptance from that dude. Because if I can get acceptance from that dude, then I'm like, okay.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's really a crazy thing. Like,
it's totally flipped now. People would call you out and be like, oh, this dude.
I mean, even with like, let's say like even early Supreme, it was like, dude, I came to New York, and one of my friends that I was with, we like came up to skate in New York, and then we went over there, and it was like the dude's bolt fucking fell off his wheel, but we were up the street from Supreme. We came up from like the Banks or something, and like, fuck it, let's go up there, walk in and be like, hey, do you guys have any like bolts for the wheels? Nah, man, like whatever. And you're like, dude, we're from Philly, like, you know what I mean? But it was like there's something inside of you like, dude, I just want to get a bolt from these dudes.
I mean,
you know?
that made kind of like Supreme.
Exactly.
What it was.
That's what it made Supreme, that edge. And how do I get involved in this? Can I get involved with this club?
It's like when
kind
a girl
of clubhouse.
Rejects you, you want her more.
Exactly. I know. That's just a sad thing in life that's like that. It's like, but no, like, you know, and then you're looking at like these dudes, you know, the early dudes at Supreme, like you're looking at those dudes are the dudes that get to go to all the dope parties and fucking, you know, dudes are in fucking CK ads and like that shit. You were just like, what the fuck? Those dudes are sick, you know what I mean? Like they didn't even have to be psycho good at skating either. It was just their clique was dope, you know, in a New York kind of way, like, you know, and you know, New York, like New York dudes just had that, they had that extra something, like they had that gear that you were like, those fuckers came to SF, like you were like, dude, that dude just looks sick, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Same with EMB shit.
Yeah,
like
I talked about it a lot, that like they came to EMB and we were like, whoa, these dudes are like on some next level shit.
These dudes are too cool for us.
Yeah, we're like, they're cooler than us.
But then you like, you know, like, and you guys probably were like, fuck it, what's up, man? Like, you're all cool to them. It's like, fuck, there's no way to like, we're not gonna just like sit in the corner and be like, those are those dudes. Unless, with times maybe, but no, it was like, let's combine our shit. Kind of like, you know, when we go to New York, we'll go out and say what's up to that with them. But yeah, like Joey Alvarez or whatever, like that dude looks sick. He had sick gear, you know what I mean? It was like, those dudes were rocking the shit. Yeah. They somehow could get the dope shit, you know what I mean? And that's like, that New York hustle.
Joey, NA, all those dudes.
No doubt.
When's the last time you spoke to Wenning? You keep in touch with him at all?
I was speaking with him when he was like on a real like skate mission like not too long ago, and he definitely and then he ended up having a kid, and I don't know, kind of fell back. I haven't talked to him in a bit, but there was a time where he was hitting me up like, dude, like, let's link up. I've been skating, like, let's try to film something. And in my head, I was like, damn, it'd be sick, you know, to meet up with him for like a weekend and film something and make something for an Instagram
That
where it
would
was
be
like
sick.
something that I would have done. And I mentioned that to him and he was down, but then, you know, I was working on Blessed and like I was traveling like so bananas. Like it was just like, I'm leaving town again. You know, and it was just like, you know, and he was like, dude, let's link up. And, and I'd be like, all right, let's do it. And then it would be like, shit, I'm going to Paris for 2 weeks, you know, and it just kept being like that. And but I wanted to do
That would
it.
be sick though.
I wanted to do it. Like I would have loved to, you know. I love Wenning and I haven't seen him in a long time, so I haven't been able to like rap with him like this, you know.
Imagine a Pops and Wenning like little Instagram edit.
I mean, that's what everyone would want. Even with like Anthony, it's like he's super busy. He's got like a real job and he, you know, like a year and a half ago, he was like, yo, what are you doing? He hit me up out of nowhere. I'm saying after like, you know, a fucking year of not hearing from him.
Yeah.
Yo, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I'm just like chilling at my place. Dude, I'm right out front. Like our truck is parked here. Come down and say what's up. I'm here for like, you know, I'll be here for 2 days like working or whatever. And I was like, fuck it, dude, I'm coming down right now. And like came downstairs and he was, sure enough, he was in the back of this like truck, like getting shit ready for a set.
Was it like production stuff?
Yeah.
Okay.
He got like a really proper job.
I heard he's like all in the union and like taken care of.
He got like hooked up through some family like shit, and I mean he had bought a car, and he was like, it's crazy. He would drive this truck in and like have his car in the city, and he'd be like, put all the set shit at this place where they were filming like a movie, and as he after he did that, he didn't come back to the truck. He would go chill in his car and watch like a movie on his phone, and then like around like 4 or 5 hours later, he would go pack it all up and then go drive the truck. Yeah, it was like he had like a little, you know, way about doing his job, and I mean he get you know 6 figures, I think. So he's not. I'm not sure,
Maybe
but
I should hit him up.
it seems like
Pops, I'm gonna hit you.
Yo, what's up, man?
That was funny when you were doing that Bob Shirt interview and you're like talking about him, and next thing you know he's like right there.
He set that up. I had no idea.
Oh, I had
No, not Anthony.
Yeah, but
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Fucking Bob Shirt. Fucking. He set that up like that Anthony was gonna come while I was doing the interview, like come around the corner.
Oh shit! Yeah, because I did think that was like a craziest coincidence. Like you're talking about him, and then next thing you know,
yeah, it was.
Right
I was crazy. Like, yeah, it was funny. I was like, this fucking guy. Like, oh, here we go. Like, this is gonna be fun.
That's sick, man.
Yeah.
We were talking about it a little bit before we started filming, but I always wanted to ask you about Danny Garcia. We used to be teammates back in the days, and then he like wrote for Alien and was killing it, and then like disappeared. Like what happened? Like,
Danny's like, you know, before I even started filming him, he was gnarly. Like you'd see all those 4-on-1s, and he was always just like the dude, and he was around where 4-on-1 was and stuff. So he was always getting footage. Him and James Craig, you'd always just see shit of them. And you'd be like, dude, Danny was doing like shit where you're like, dude, he's so fucking good. And one time he came to Love and he was skating at Love. I think his mother had to come to the city for something. So he came with her and he was skating at Love, and I was there filming, but he was like, I was like, damn, this dude's like doing a sick line. I was like, dude, let me film that line. And cause he was trying something, and it was like, this kid's good. And he was like, hey, do you mind if like you use my tape though? Like put my tape in his camera, or his tape in my camera. And I was like, yeah, fuck it, sure. And then I filmed the line with him, and I think he did a back tail to fakie, and then a switch back 780 to nose grind on the second love ledge. It's something like that. And then when we were done, he was like, let me get the tape. And then like, and it ended up being in a 4-on-1. Like he like went back and he was like, dude, put this in, you know? Yeah. But then, you know, he got on Habitat. We filmed all those like Mosaic and, you know, Photosynthesis, Mosaic, and like whatever. I stopped kind of like working for them, and he continued on and filmed that Inhabitants part, I think it was, that was super sick. And like he was like kind of changed his style, but he started doing like right around the time that I was filming Mosaic, he like had picked up a guitar, and he was somehow like,
so he got real into that.
He got into it like he would be into skating. And it was around that time where I feel like everyone was like, dude, we got to like figure out what we're going to do after skating. Like people kept talking about that. I remember being like, this isn't going to last forever. Like we got to think of what we got to do now. And like everyone kind of got on that kick. And I just remember him picking up a guitar and like literally within 3 weeks, he was playing like every fucking, like he learned every Led Zeppelin song or something like that. But he like learned it within, where it's like I've picked up guitars forever my whole entire life, and I remember still don't know how to play a fucking.
It was like a trend in skating for a little while to like play guitar.
Yeah.
Have a little dog and like play a guitar.
Yeah. I mean, I think Habitat maybe started that shit, but in general, there's a lot of mimicking Habitat companies that those dudes ended up doing the same thing too. I don't know. Danny just got really into doing music, and then I think at a certain point he's not the type of dude to like milk it. Like he's just like, if he feels like, yo, I'm not gonna be any better, I'm not gonna milk this. Like, hey, it'll be cool if if you guys keep a board out, but like. I'm not going to be able to produce as much because I've got other things that I like and I'm trying to do. And it's like really not about the money for him. He really like, he'll enjoy playing music at his house and like playing a show in front of like, 30 people. And that's cool enough for him. Like, he's a hardworking dude. He can, whatever he puts his mind to, it's really like he can just do it. Like he's just one of those dudes that can do everything.
Like a gifted kind of dude. I remember when he quit City Stars, I was like, I got it, but then I like saw him at the trade show and I was like, I'm not gonna be cool to this dude. And I kind of like gave him like the cold shoulder, but then later on I was like, oh, sorry about that. I was just being a dick.
Yeah, that's like, that's some shit, you know what I mean? That's like some shit you do, like people get real fucking weird when people quit. It's like, dude, we're all doing this together, and then someone quits and you're like, whatever, dude, like now you can't talk to me. Like it's just like some shit, like so teen, 20s, that's like that shit. And then when you're 40 or something, you look back, you're like yo, what's good? Like, yo, like playing pool down at the fucking corner next Wednesday, like meet up, like, you know what I mean? It's just, people grow out of that.
For sure. What, with skating, like you mentioned you've been through a few different generations now, like what's the biggest difference you think between the kids these days and like maybe the kids of?
They have access to information and I think
Instagram has a lot to play into like their thought process.
Yeah, I don't know, I can't really, like I was saying to you earlier, like I'm stuck in my bubble, like I can't see outside of it. Kids have access to information, they know a lot. Like with music nowadays, like even though I hear and see the music and I'm looking through Instagram too and I know names of some of the fucking new hip hop dudes and shit, they know the dudes that are coming up before anybody knows about them. Like Tyshawn, like it's like he should be an A&R or whatever it's called, like, and they're like, he finds like the new dude before everyone. He's like, watch, this dude's gonna be the next dude. It's like Pop Smoke, like fucking way before. And it's like, of course, you know what I mean? It's just really cool that, but when we were younger, we knew all the fucking new dudes that were coming out.
Yeah, you pay attention into definitely magazines and like all the videos. And
it was so fun, like when we were younger with magazines and videos, because they weren't coming out so often.
You'd study it from like.
You would be like, dude, this is the only scripture I have for another month, and whatever. Same with Thrasher Now or whatever what was Trans World. You would just get that thing. Like my mother would take me to the skate shop. I would get the magazine and I would go home and my whole life was about that magazine. I didn't even fucking care what else was going on in my household. I would be like fucking looking at that and there would be photos on my wall and shit. And like, yeah, it's like photos of dudes I ended up filming, you know what I mean? Like where I was just like, dude, if you only knew like fucking a year and a half ago, like you were like on my bedroom wall. Like that shit is crazy to think. And I always look at it as like skateboarders, like especially, when I didn't know anything about skateboarding, the industry or nothing, it was like, they were like really fucking famous in my head. Like they were like the grail, like, you know what I mean? It was like, no one in the world mattered except for like, and it was cool when you saw, and you've gotten this feeling too, when you saw a skater that you knew about that was dope, and you're like, you saw them for the first time, you're like, dude, there's fucking, there's Fred Gall. Like, don't look over there. Like, it's just like, whatever. Even though Freddie wouldn't give a shit, but you were like, dude, well, he said, damn, Fred said what's up to me. Like that type of shit. Like, it's like, I don't know. It's like suburb, like not knowing anyone, you're a super fan kind of, you know what I mean? Instead of being around. And then when you get around it and then fucking 8 years in, you're like, oh, I just don't bring that dude on the trip. Like whatever, like not Fred, but like in general, someone, you're like, dude, please don't bring him. Like we already got like a couple, it's like, it's tricky, but it's like you lose the love in a, you find a different way to love it. Obviously you're getting paid and you're like working, and I find love in the editing and like the making of something, and like obviously the after of it is like the greatest. Like it's like you get a high from it. You're like, dude, whatever, we finished this. It's been like with Blessed 2.5 years, and like the promotion for it was super heavy, and like it was sick to go to all the theaters. And well, I mean, dude, hour and 20 minutes, fucking 8 days in a row was gnarly. I remember being like, dude, we have to watch this every time for like within 8 days, we're watching it like 8 or 9 times. But
you just gotta be there. You don't really have to like.
Yeah. I mean, whatever.
You had to give the speech too every day.
I hate the speech, dude. Why can't I like hate? I'm like can like talk anytime, but like I think the buildup is so heavy for those. You know what I mean? And like plus my family was at this one, like my mother and my aunt shit in the New York one, and I felt like I didn't do that bad of a job the New York one. The LA one, I was like, what once there was this time. Like I was like such a like, I'm like, all right, everyone, I hate talking in front of these things. Thank you for coming out. I'm done. Like, you know what I mean? And it was just like, like fucking, dude, that, I don't know. I think the buildup is intimidating for me.
You get in your head and you're like.
Oh my God. I mean, Cherry, I remember being like totally fine, going to test the mic at the New York one, going to test the mic like an hour before, coming back, getting ready, getting in a cab to go back over there. And then all of a sudden I was like, oh man, like pacing in my head, like, fuck, like, I don't know what I'm going to say, and it was just, I remember being like.
You didn't have anything written down, right?
No, I think another thing is like, I had, for Blessed, I did have something written down and I was reading it, but I was like talking like I was reading it. It will be good when you guys, and it's like, and then like, I think one of them, I was like, I'm not reading from, I'm just going to improvise. And then I did it and I was like, that was the best one. Right? Yeah. It's just like, there's really not much to say. Everyone knows why they're there, but I wanted to shout Dylan out at the premieres and say like, he was in my mind a lot for that whole thing. And like, I wanted it to be good, cause if he was in it, it was going to be good. So I wanted to like, prove to myself and prove to him, like in a way like that I could. And,
like it seems like in like filming, the most important thing are relationships, like building relationships with the skaters. And it's like something that you seem to be like really good at, because it's like, I don't know, you keep it real and like,
I think
people trust you.
I think that's just the type of person I am. Like I'm very easy. I think I'm an easy, open-minded person, and I'm easy to be around, and I just don't think people feel like threatened by me, so they can just be themselves. But that type of stuff, when you start getting that type of stuff, then down the line, when we were filming Cherry, these guys, these kids they were being them, like they couldn't be anything else. That's what you're like when you're a kid. You're just, you're you. Like there's no, and then as you get older, it's like people are, especially now with Instagram and shit, people are like telling you who you are and what you are and this and that. And it's like, after a while of hearing so much shit, you start building this like idea of everything, I don't know. I've always been like, easy, you know what I mean? Like, and I want that to show on the videos. And, there was a time where I was filming in the 2000s that it was like, I'm just going to go film the trick, not film much more. And I mean, I have footage of Dill and Ave and all them dudes hanging out. But like those videos back then, everyone was kind of just, it's a bunch of tricks and then it ends. That's, and that's what everything, everything was like. It was like they didn't want anything more than that. It's like you're sending in footage and we're making a video out of it. And maybe here and there was something that wasn't skate. But I think when I got my shot to do my own video, and I had been doing online videos of my own before that, and I was adding the things that I thought were important to what skateboarding is and hanging out and like what you see other than skateboarding. And yeah, being in New York could have changed my brain to think like that, because I want to do what I want. And I was very more I think when I had no money and stuff, I was very more like, fuck everyone, I'm gonna make this, the footage is gonna feel that way kind of thing. Like, here's this thing I did with Pappalardo, and it was like, yeah, we're on our own shit. And then I made that thing with Stevie and Josh, and it was like this love shit, and there was stuff in there that no one's seen, but it was like you felt like you were at Love Park. And it just like kind of like, and then the feedback from those, you know what I mean? It was like, I hate to think that I made it because of YouTube and like that stuff, because I felt like making it was really before that. Like you made it because motherfuckers really paid attention, but
well, it was a platform.
Yeah, and it was like
your art.
I feel like, and I was doing stuff and giving it to people, and that's how I was making my money. But like I felt like no one was really willing to like, not like, there was never like, dude, do you want to come in and try to help with this video? I felt like it's always been like that. I feel like I have to like veer off and do my own thing. And or at least with the YouTube thing, I had nothing going on. And in my head, I was like just living this New York lifestyle where I was like crashing, and like all I had was a laptop with Final Cut on it. And I just had all this footage, and like Pappalardo stuff was left over from the Na-Kel video that like, Ty didn't use the stuff. And I was like, I mean, dude, this shit's sick. I like it. Well, in fact, I felt it was really important footage. I actually liked the footage a lot, a lot more than the stuff that was in his Na-Kel part. I liked the Na-Kel part, but the stuff that the Ty didn't use was like simple, but it was real New York. And I told Pappalardo I'm gonna make my own video with it, and I made this like video, and like the feedback I got from it was like, dude, that's what we want to see. And then I kind of like rode that high, and then kept doing it and kept making videos, and was real particular about them. Like I wasn't like, I need to make a video. I want to make shit that I was like, this fits in with the first one I made. And this is like my little box set for YouTube, really. And and I would get on edge where I'd be like, all right, you guys have seen enough. Like I know my audience kind of, and you've seen enough. I would take it down. Can't see it anymore. I'd just be like on some like, I just kind of like was on my like weird, like no money, broke, fuck this shit. Like I'm partying and having fun and just being me. And then,
But what's interesting about that, I'm glad you're talking about that, because that's what I wanted to talk about, that period of time in your life. It's like you're in New York, like you said, you're kind of like having a rough moment, like you're sleeping on couches, but essentially you kind of like went from being like a regular skate filmer to like being an artist in a way. Like, well, you said like, if I'm not filming for other people's shit, like I'm gonna put my own shit out there.
Well, I felt like there's a point in my life as far as how do I make it to another level, and I'm either gonna continue to do it the way I am and film and give it to people and make no money. And it wasn't, I don't even know if it was about money, but it's who am I in this situation? Am I like this, like, I just felt like there was something more for me, and there was a, like, I guess lucky enough, like there was a platform where I could do everything myself and like do it, and I just was ready to like be like, I want to make the video, I want to make the video the way that I want to see it, because I've been doing it for a long time, and I love all the companies I work for. Alien Workshop was the shit. It was the fucking shit while I worked for it, you know what I mean? It was definitely the shit too before that, but I was fortunate enough to like work on Photosynthesis, and like I said, now working on these videos, I was engulfed in it and in the bubble, and in Photosynthesis I was too. So when it came out, I couldn't really see the reception like somebody, like I just was like, I've seen all this footage forever because I'd have all the footage in my house and I would just watch it all the time. So it was just like, damn, it's sick that everyone likes this, but people really fucking like that video, So I don't know. Yeah, I guess that platform was like, I think in my head I was like, I've got to do something because I'm not doing anything right now, and I got to figure out who I am in this world, like really, like how do I stand on my legs and like go for it. And the one thing I've always known was skateboarding because I'm like a fan of it. So I was gonna take what I got, make what I want out of it, and show everyone like this is how I want to see skateboarding. It's raw. The fucking streets are like there's shit going on in these streets, and you know that time period like 2003 to 2005, like around then was like a weird period in skating. It's like the bulky shoes and everyone's like, yeah, it was just a really, it was a weird time. And like, you know, how it's like come back to like what it was kind of, it was just like.
Well, New York is also the perfect fucking landscape for that creativity that you had. Like it's the
like I said, if I'm skating around with Dill and like we like, or even Mark per se, like they're gonna run into somebody and some, you know, there's gonna be some kind of chit chat and it's gonna be worth it to film. Like, and you're like, you could film, you know, 15 minutes of it, but like 30 seconds of it is like, holy shit, that was awesome. Yeah. Or like, you know, and I was like, I don't know if it's because my mother was schizophrenic and like people that have like illnesses that are like people that have like, you know, that are schizophrenic and have like kind of bipolar and whatever that are out on the streets, for some reason I could like rap with them, you know what I mean? I feel like they almost felt like, you know, I'm not judging them. I mean, yeah, I'm filming them and maybe that's not the best thing to do, but like they're interesting people. And there's people in the world that want, you know, like the one with Pappalardo, the dude John the Baptist, that dude just walked up to us. And I was like, this motherfucker's sick. Like, you know, he just got out of like Rikers Island or whatever, but he had something to say. And Pappalardo, the way he's talking back to him, it was like, dude,
he's just rapping with him like normal.
Yeah, he was just like, he's like, yo, I'll take you guys to Burger King. And like Pappalardo's like, no, it's all good. Like, you know, just those little things, like, people that want to see what Pappalardo's like, not just the skating, you know what I mean? And that's what Pappalardo talks in that epically later. And he's like, dude, I love like someone like Freddie, but I don't want to know everything about him because then it takes away from like the fantasy I have of who he might be or like, you know, you don't want to know everything, but nowadays everyone knows everything about everyone. Like, and it's a, I say with the internet and shit, it's like a double-edged sword. It's like, dude, I can look up or find a song that I like, or like a book. I can order a book that I've been looking for forever. I can find it now. You know what I mean? Which is cool. But at the same time, there was always something special about like digging through a bunch of shit and being like, holy fuck, I found this book I wanted or like video I want. You know, it's like that was like the hunt is super fun. Now it's like over accessible and like even like with stuff like with the eBay, I'll just be like, I'm bored, I'm just gonna go on eBay and see if I can find something and I'll just buy it and be like, fuck, why'd I buy that? There's no room in my apartment for anything more, but the hunt, I think that's like, you know, type of a thing that like men like to do. Like, you know. Have
people try to like give you shit for filming like people on the streets and stuff?
No, but I mean, you can see like, you know, comments or whatever. It's like, dude, I can't believe, you know, everyone's looking for some kind of
something to be offended about.
Yeah, like something to be offended about, or I mean, dude, whatever. That dude, maybe that dude was like, fuck, I'm gonna ham it up for the camera. Like, you know what I mean? Like maybe he was fucking psyched, you know, or somebody would be, you know, and maybe somebody wouldn't. I mean, there's been times where like a motherfucker has like pushed my camera out of their face, you know what I mean, or whatever, but most of the time not. But I'm just saying, it's like, leave it up to them to decide if they want to be filmed or not. Like that dude John the Baptist talked for like a minute, like
he was loving
minutes.
It probably.
Yeah, he was just like, damn, like these dudes are gonna film me, cool, like whatever. But yeah, I mean, there's always somebody that got to say something that's like
for sure. Wow.
Like has a pinch of jealousy for sure, and like everyone's got something to say. I mean, me and the crew that I film are definitely like magnified or whatever. You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, you guys are high.
It's like yeah, we brush it off the shoulder. Like it's not worth it to like feed into it. Like you know what I mean? And I mean, it comes with the territory.
For sure. When you were moved to New York and you were partying a lot, what was your spot? Was it like Morrissey night, Sway?
Oh, well, Sway was the spot for me. Like, if I could say all this, I mean,
I had a feeling it was.
It was like, when we went there, we had, like, the bouncer moved everyone from our seats and we sat there, you know what I mean? It was like, and the music was really good, and Brian DeGraw and Ben Cho were like, they were just great. And you know, the funny thing is, when it first started, Brian and Ben started the night, and we would be at the Fish, you know, and it was like, dude, let's go over to Sway, like Brian and Ben started this night, and we go over there, and like, you know, the first few times there was 2 other people there, 3 other people. It was like Merrill would go, and like a few other people, like maybe Ryan McGinley. It was like really only a couple people. They would like put the benches up in a big triangle and try to stand on the top of them. There was like no one would go. But then, like, you know, like Chloe went, and like in page 6, like Chloe goes, you know, Chloe went to Smith's night last night, and then, you know, next thing you know, a year and a half later, Lindsay Lohan's going, and like, you know, everyone's picking up. But it was a fun night. It was like a really like let yourself go and like have fun, and like, you know, they had like Amy Kellner was doing the door, so she would only let people in that were like, you know, not anyone could just get in. Yeah. And like people were coming from other, you know, New York, people are coming from other cities, and it's like, dude, we're going to that. You know, it was. I
mean, I definitely stood out there for like an hour or so at some point.
Yeah, no, I would get like faded and dance around like with everyone. It was like super fun, but when I first came here, it was like the Hole and Max Fish.
Oh, the Hole.
The Hole was the shit.
Spot. That was Dill's spot, right?
Well, Dill like knew Alon and Kama, who were doing the bar, and they were like, fuck it, like, you want to bartend? And Dill would just go out, you know, like he's really helpful, but he would just go behind the bar and start helping them.
He bartended there.
But he would go, he would just do it. He would see how busy they were, and it was just I think just those 2, and he'd be like, you know, he was probably like over just standing around. He was like, fuck it, I'm gonna get by and help, and then be like, dude, I'm helping you guys, like whatever. But yeah, and it was sick when he worked, because I'd go up to him and be like, dude, give me another. I'd be like, I'd get a free one anytime I wanted. So it was like, are you bartending? Like, but
that's pretty sick.
Yeah, no, it was like come from Brooklyn. Like, I was living in Greenpoint at the time, and excuse me. Yeah, I would take a car in, and I knew the car service so well that every, like, I think it was Wednesday and Saturday, I think those were the days that the Hole was. I would call, and I would already be a bottle of wine deep, and I'd be like, send the SUV, and he'd be like, the SUV's on its way, like the dude from and they would pull up in this dope, huge SUV, and the dude was playing like Spanish music, but it would be like Tino, Manu, and like they lived up the street, so they would meet, and we would just all go in, get out, and the night would start at the Fish, and then we'd all walk over there. And you know, that was like one of those places that was like, it was no windows, it was like just rugged, and but it was like, it made the place, like no one wanted to go use the bathroom in there because it was like clogged, and there was a line always down the wall. It was just like one of those things where you're like, this is fucking sick, and that's what made New York, you know what I mean? And it went from like raw, dirty street, and then like in the middle of the 2000s, that turned into like classy.
Paris Hilton and fucking.
Yeah, that it turned into like, yo, people would go to Lit still because it was grimy, but they'd also go to the Beatrice where it was like dope, you know what I mean? And like that was, I don't know, reminiscent about all that shit. It's really fun, and it's like, you know, I'm older now, so I wouldn't go out as much like that, but I feel for these kids that like want to go, should be able to do that shit, and they're trying, but it's like you don't need to go out that much, because like doing shit on your phone is fun. Like, that's true. You know, you don't have to go out because you're gonna see what everyone's doing.
You can see if it's good or not too. And
you can see if it's good or not, and you're like, you know, you can just.
Because back in the days,
you could sit on your own world in your phone.
That's true. Back in the days, you wanted to go out because you didn't want to miss anything. And
exactly.
And there's literally nothing
the real
to do at
fear
home.
of missing out was like, it's true. It was like, the funny thing is, I'd go out every day for like months, and then the one day I was like, dude, I am so hungover from last night, I can't go out tonight. The next day I'd be like, yo, there was a super gnarly fight between these two people you know, and you fucking missed it. And I was like, yep, the one day I didn't go out. So every day, and that made me go out every night. Yeah.
Exactly.
It was like really exciting to go out though. Like there was something about like it was a incestuous, straight up codependent scene. Like you didn't, like you'd go to Pink Pony, hang out in there, then you'd go next door to the Fish, and like, then you'd end up at like, Pussycat Lounge was like a long time ago, like this place that everyone went to. And
What about the Box? People go to the Box?
I never really went to the Box. I think when it first opened, maybe a little bit, but I didn't really go there. It was like the typical like lit, the Fish, Motor City, Sway.
Motor City.
There was like Don Hills, like when I first moved to New York, 80s night at Don Hills, and the 80s are gonna come back for sure.
Yeah,
I think this year is gonna be like a big 80s year. 'Cause that shit was fucking, I wish I was like a little older in the 80s. I feel like I would have been like, this is fucking cool.
How did it all like start slowing down, like all the partying? Was it just getting older?
I mean, I had responsibility.
Yeah.
I didn't really have responsibility, and I didn't want responsibility. I wanted to go out every night. I think that I needed to get it out of my system in order to like reflect on myself and be like, all right, no one I used to go out with is going out anymore. And I'm just like finding myself, I felt like partying, like drinking and stuff it wasn't taking me any farther. Like I would just not feel dope about it. Like there was a point where I was like getting fucked up. I was like, I feel dope. I don't care what anyone thinks of me. I'll probably addict to half to everyone. But like it got to the point where drinking was not giving me a high. I was just doing it to do it. And I don't know, it's just like my body was just like, yo, what up? And I wasn't like, man, I need AA, or I'm fucked up and I can't, I just was like at a certain point, I'm like, like I said, I started making those videos and like they were getting well received. And then like, companies were hitting me up like, what's up, man? We really like the shit you're doing. Like, would you want to do something? And then eventually I was like, all right, I'll take somebody up on it. And they sent me like a huge check and I got my own apartment. And then I was like, you can't go out and get fucked up every night and not pay your rent. You just, you get to the point where it's like, I have to grow up, and the responsible thing is making sure that, I want to see myself in a different lifestyle. And that was like being more responsible and paying, I didn't have a mother to teach me how to do that, and I don't know my father, so it was like, I learned everything from people I know and friends of friends. It's like you ask questions and you learn. But I think at a certain point I was just like, I got to use what I got to get what I want, and I want shit now. I don't want to live. I don't want
a conscious decision.
It was a kind of
like you came to a point where you were like too fucked up.
I just felt like I really liked it when I started doing my own way, and it was my thing. I was like, all right, well, I'm down to do this way more so if it's like my creation, and that was like, I think, a real turning point, because once I started doing stuff for myself and like working with people that I like want to work with, instead of getting forced to work with people that like, hey, you have to go on these trips with these dudes or whatever. And like, it's not like I didn't want to go on with any of those dudes, but like, young Alex and Dylan, it was like, dude, these dudes are like, these guys will show, and like Gonz and Dill, like these guys will showcase, what's to be next, I think. And like, before that it was Josh, Stevie, Wenning, Pappalardo. I had the best. I think I've just fell into like right place, right time / navigated around the perfect fucking skaters. And I don't know if it's luck or what, but it's meant to be, because it's happened since the beginning. You know what I mean? Like Josh was like, yo, you're filming, like we need somebody to help film with photosynthesis. And I'm like, damn, like Josh is asking me to film. And then I was like filming all those guys. So it's just, I don't know. I think being around those big personalities at the beginning, kind of like, I need big personalities around all the time. I need people that are crazy and wild and different and weird. Like, and it wasn't like I was gonna go to some plain group of dudes after that. Like, I'm not gonna name any teams, but it was just like, I'm not gonna like go less than these dudes,
Yeah.
and these dudes are the shit. It was like exactly like that. I think it was like, if I'm gonna like film with some other dudes, they have to be like.
Well, you kind of
dope.
like handpick the people that you like think are dope, and then you kind of just work with them, right? Like, essentially.
Yeah. And some people you don't really know yet, but you find that in them, and you're like, well, you know, you find that type of. I don't know. I'm just attracted to wild, mentally wild people, and people that have something that's worth showing to people outside of skateboarding and everything. I just think
That makes
like
a lot of sense.
Yeah, I got to be entertained, you know what I mean? And excited about wanting to do it, because I won't pull the camera out or anything if I'm like, you know what I mean? I want to feel like, well, I'm bringing home something that I'm like, dude, this is sick. You know? So it's a mix of a bunch of different things like that, I think.
Sick.
Yeah.
And Dill kind of like left New York, right? That was his like, his whole thing was like, I'm partying too hard, I'm gonna move back to California. Huh?
I mean, yeah. I mean, he's had access and money, and he can, and it wasn't even the problem for us. I think, or at least I can say for myself, was I could get free drinks everywhere I went. I never had to pay for drinks after a certain point. I was like, I knew the bartenders. I knew it was like. I could get fucked up, you know what I mean? And there's like people out there that still go to the bars, and like every once in a while I'll go to a bar and I'll be like, damn, what's up?
You're still here?
Yeah, no, which is crazy, but like that's the lifestyle that they want to lead, and they don't, you know, I want to see how fucking far I can go and how big I can take my what I do, you know what I mean? And like, you know, at a certain point, like I want to like go bigger than what I'm doing now. It's just
Totally.
Like if I felt like I was failing all the time, then I would probably fall into like some other shit and be like, you know, whatever. I tried, but I'm doing it. You know, I'm in the mix of what I want to do, and like, who's to say in 4 years what I'll have put out? Right now, I just keep creating shit, whether it's skate shit or whatever. I want to like, I'm just like making. Whether it's skating or what, it's all like an expression of like the stuff that I like, and I'm doing it.
But what's interesting also about going out in New York is like, especially at that time, it's probably like you created a lot of relationships with people probably outside of skateboarding, like artists and like all these people that.
Yeah,
like,
but that's the thing is like I like
scenes.
those people, like sometimes even more so than skaters, because I learn so much different shit. And like I'm talking about, there's people I know that are like, they're so loaded because they've done, you know, artists that are like have done probably half as much as I've done, like, but their world pays 5 times more. And they're like, you know, they don't ever have to work again for the rest of their life. And I'm not saying I have to work again or whatever, but like fashion, art world, like they do a quarter. And I mean, they do cool shit too, but it's like about name and what, you know, what you can, you know, it's crazy. Skateboarding is the thing about skateboarding, and I love the people in it, so I'm down to just be involved in it. I don't want anything more really. At the end of the day, I like the lifestyle, I like the people. But yeah, to see people do like other shit in other worlds and be like, wow, like dude got $300,000 for that painting and he made fucking 20 of them. It's like, dude, what the fuck? I don't know, like I just don't know. It just doesn't make sense. But what I was trying to say, and before I cut my own self off, is like our world is a certain language. As skateboarders, like the skateboarding is a certain language, you know, and not many people understand it. Like I could show half the people in my family shit and they'll just think it looks all this, you know, all the same. And in the videos that I make, I try to like make it for people outside of skating too. Like I want them to find something in it they can grasp onto, which would be like these guys talking to someone and be like, dude, that was funny, but they're not gonna get the skating. They're just gonna like see it for what it is. I know what each trick is, so I know what people would get excited about. And that's why skateboarders just can't make a lot of money. Like skateboarders have to really like sell themselves out to like, you know, to like, they gotta just let it go, the cool aspect really, you know, to make it. And what I try to do is I think, you know, fortunately with the Supreme shit and like all of us mixed, like the crew, me and Supreme, like that whole thing is such a strong package that, you know, with Supreme, a lot of people outside of skateboarding are going to want to see what it is. And there's a lot of people that like Supreme that don't have anything to do with skateboarding, and they don't want anything to do with skateboarding. But since they're seeing like, damn, look at all these like pictures of the team like all over the city, wheat pasted everywhere. Like I got to see what that is. Like they're going to watch Blessed, you know what I mean? So
skateboard, like people know who like Alex Olsen is and like Dylan and like people outside of skating, like those people know like, oh, those guys are they're
like skaters, but they know they're down for them because you know they're eye candy for women. So it's like they're like, you know, it's like definitely like, you know, people that are like attractive get a lot farther in life for some reason. It's like it's just like that unfair thing, but it's like, hey, if somebody's attractive, like let's film them and like maybe it'll make this go farther. You know what I mean? But yeah, with Supreme, it's like one of the sickest thing is like we're putting this in your face no matter what. So it gets the audience is so much bigger, and I love that because no one in skateboarding can get that. Like no other company can get that. Like it's just, I think I feel very fortunate that I was asked to do Cherry and you know, I love the brand and I always have, and yeah, it's so crazy how far it's gotten, and it's an amazing thing to see, and really interesting enough, it's like, I think Supreme's just a glitch in the system. Like I was telling you earlier, I was like, no other company is going to be able to do it. It's like, this is the one, you know what I mean? And I know it. And it's like, it's crazy. It's awesome.
To see, I used to work at the Diamond Store in LA around like 2008, 2009. And like Na-Kel and Sage and like even Tyler, the creator, they were all just like little kids on the block. And like, they used to come in and be like, you know, can I get a board, or like, let me get a t-shirt, or they just come hang out at the shop and like, and then I'd always be like, you know, those stairs across the street where Carol did the nose wheelie nollie flip? I'd just be like, go hard flip those stairs and I'll give you, I knew they would do it first try, and I'll be like, I'll give you a board or whatever.
I definitely know that was Na-Kel hard flipping. He's had that trick super good.
And fucking next thing I know, like a couple years later, like they're all just blew up like crazy. Like even that,
you know what it was
crew,
for me? It's like, you know, I had met Tyshawn the first day like filming with basically like going out and filming a commercial with him and Dill, you know, and I've known Dill forever, but I didn't know Tyshawn, and like I met him that day when this one weekend we went out and filmed, and I made a commercial that I felt like if I was to do something for Supreme, this was what how I'd want to see it. And like, you know, they saw it, they were super hyped, and then like a month later it was like, what's up? What do you think about doing a full length? And I was just like, I've been asking for years, not asking for years, but I've been like, I've mentioned it a few times and nothing ever came of it. And I was just like, fuck it, let's do it. Like, what, you know, let's figure out how we're gonna do this. And they were so cool with like letting me kind of do what you want, you know what I mean? And that gave me way more confidence because I wasn't feeling like it has to be this way. And like, are they gonna be pissed if it's like, you know, we want you to do exactly what you want to do. And I had Tyshawn, you know what I mean, already. Like we were like, he was already like, yo, what's up? Like let's go film. Like we're gonna start filming for this video. And like, yeah, we were out every day in New York. But then at a certain point, I went to LA, and I would be staying with like I just was like trying to do it the cheapest route at the time. I was just like, Dill was like, yo, you could stay at my crib. I got an extra room, like whatever. And I was like, all right, cool. Let's just try that to see how this goes. And he lived like a block from Supreme LA.
He did, that's right.
He lived in like on Rosewood. And whatever, I would just walk over to the shop and go over there, and like Aiden, Sage, Na-Kel, like were just kicking it at the shop, you know? And I was like, damn, these kids are cool. And like also it was just like I was going to meet like Costin that day, or I was going to meet Scott or whoever. Like I was just going to meet dudes. But then I think at one point it was just like Sage kept hitting me up. He was just like, where are you? I want to meet up. Where are you? I want to meet up. And you know, I just was like, dude, I'm over at, you know, Gardner, like Link. And then that day, you know, he impossibles the table. Like, and I'm like,
you're like,
that's
okay.
insane that you did that. You know what I mean? Well, Dylan had done it already, but I was also just like, damn sick, you know?
Yeah.
Like, and just felt like their energy was what I felt was really important.
They were pretty hungry. I remember Na-Kel was real like on it too.
Yeah, and it wasn't even about hungry. I just think that they were very exactly, I don't know. I feel like they were like how kids are supposed to be, and I remember being around it and being like, this young new energy is like what's needed in skating, and like I just already intuitively knew. And it was like even Dylan and Alex they had been in videos and are a little older, you know what I mean? But they were important to what I feel like the image of Supreme should be too, you know what I mean? As far as like those guys would be like what like BC was doing, you know what I mean, back in the day. And then like, you know, and then I just was like, you know, the energy that these kids are, how they are with each other, you're not going to get that out of a pro skater that's been around forever. They're just like, you know, hey, you know, I've said it before, but it's just like, hey, I can come out skating tomorrow, but at 3 I have to go like pick up my kid and bring him home, and like, you know, it's just like those things are already stopping me from like, that doesn't sound dope to me, but I understand. I like want to get
you get it. But you're like,
you know, and also dudes were just like kind of linking up too and just being like, dude, I just want to get something for that video, so I'm in it. And in my head I was like, dude, this isn't that video that you think it is. Like, I want to make something dope, and yeah, their energy of who they are and where they could be after this by involving them was, I think, such an important part to that video, and they shine in that video. You know, the whole last section to, you know, to that group home track is like, I'm like, we fucking did it, you know, and then Tyshawn runs up the stairs, but like KB kickflipped over that wall, knocked at that gap to Feeble in Brooklyn. It's like, dude, it's like there's a new group of kids coming up and you guys are all fucked because these guys are gonna fucking shoot you guys. And that's what happened. And it's like, you know, Jumanji at the end, that like thing that he says, he's like, you know, don't not pay attention to the kids coming up because later in life, they're gonna be the ones that come and like get you. And that's that video to me, you know, that's what it was. And, you know, we did like 5, you know, like online videos after that were just like each one, like Sickness and Kevin Bradley and SF, like, dude, all that shit he did in that. Like
backtails that thing in Oakland, like all that.
Kickflips into the fountain, backtails Oakland, front Feebles, Kezar. It's like, you ain't fucking with us. So like, it was like, yeah, KB, like you did it, you know, and like he's like such a talented skater, and you know, they all have their own niche, you know what I mean? It's like they all look cool, singular, you know, but all together they fucking make Voltron, and I don't like to see a video as much with just one of them in it. It's like, dude, they really nail it when they're all together because it's a good, it's just every flavor, you know, it's perfect.
It's funny, I met Na-Kel when he was like a little kid.
Yeah.
It's like his dad is like cousins or like play cousin with Kareem.
Yeah, I knew that. I'd heard that,
So I've known like Na-Kel's dad, and I like met Na-Kel when he was like a toddler.
Yeah, I knew that he was rolling around down there a lot, and like they, you know, those guys would say he would come into Supreme all the time, and I couldn't imagine, I mean, it would, if I was their age, like, you know, 14, 15, and going down to Fairfax the way it was, I mean, I couldn't imagine. It must have been just so, I would want to go down there every day. You know what I mean? And go through every shop and say hi to everyone. Like, that's the shit. I would, it's like the world, you know? It's like, that's super sick.
Hell yeah.
Speaking of like Kareem, like that tray flip he did the other day was fucking butter.
That shit broke the internet.
Good shit. I'm glad it did. Because it didn't look,
shit was
it
so
did.
sick. Yeah, you
Black
guys saw
don't
that,
crack,
right?
man. He's like still got it. He looked
amazing.
young, dude.
Yeah. I mean, I was totally, I hadn't seen
It
anything
looked
from
like
him
it
in,
could have, like
ages.
somebody pulled that from an older video and was
Seriously.
like, dude, I found this footage of Kareem that we were just in the park one day.
Yeah, it's crazy. And then, like, I know we talked a lot about Tyshawn already, but like, even for you to have like worked with him, it must be really rewarding, like to have worked with him from a young kid at like 13 years old to now skater of the year.
Yeah.
And like, just to see that whole process and be a part of it.
I mean,
must be amazing.
I think that's like back to what I was saying. It was like, hey, like I want to do something, and I know what I've got. Like as far as like my skill and like how I can like champion people, and like, you know, I seen Tyshawn's dedication to his craft, and I've seen his like hustle for it, you know what I mean? And even in Cherry, like Tyshawn, like he's been good since the first day. Like I said, like in other things, he nollie flipped into Courthouse the first day. He was the end of 13 years old, and it was just like, dude, I remember it was like, you know, 6th try or something. I remember just being like, dude, that was fucking, I was like so hyped that he did that. You know, I'm like this dude that's just like just met this kid, and like within a day he's did that. And I've talked to him about it, you know, later on, and I'm like, dude, I can't, you know, the first day you nollie flipped at Courthouse, like that was gnarly. Like what, you know, where'd that come from? And he was just like, I just felt like this was my chance and I had to do it. Like, and like that thinking of like, dude, they want to film something with me, and I'm gonna do something that like people are gonna talk about. And I feel like that's, Tyshawn's been doing that for, you know, his whole career so far. He's like, you know, he's put in the work. He's very persistent. Like when he was going to the Courthouse, I mean, not the Courthouse, but Madison Square Garden, it was like, that dude was waking up at 4:45 and calling me and say, yo, you up? I'm like, yeah, I'm up. Like, you ready? And he's like, I'll see you down there in 45. Like, that motherfucker was waking up, driving over there.
So you guys were filming that at like 5:30 in the morning?
Yeah, we were going there right as sun was coming up, so the security wouldn't be on our ass. And like, dude, there's a few times we'd go there and the security would be standing out there because they're like, they were so used to us coming. The dude would be standing out there at that time, like basically waiting for us. And just so, and we're like, fuck, like, you know, there'd be times where it'd be water, like it had rained, and there'd be like a puddle at the bottom, and I would go and buy like 8 rolls of Downy or whatever and come back, start wiping it up, the security dude would come out. Like, fuck, dude, it just dried it. You know, shit like that you're dealing with. And, you know, even with Blessed, I kind of wanted to show somewhat what it was like for us, how hard it is, you know what I mean, for us. And that's like with Tyshawn switch backside heel flip the downtown LA triple set. It was like, and that was possibly like a quarter of the footage that, you know, the quarter of the times, but I was like, you know, I want you to feel like what we have to deal with. Like, this isn't just like you're going out and this dude's jumping down this and we're leaving within 10 minutes. Yeah. Like, we're going back for days, and this guy's really jumping down this a lot, and like we're dealing with security, and like, you know, and it's like people need to see that to understand why skateboarding is worth it, I think. And Josh has said Carol's part in Questionable is his favorite part. He said it so many times, but like, you know, he hit me up and said like, dude, this is gives it a run. And I was just like, you know, I was really proud, like super proud of that. And like beyond proud that he got Skater of the Year, you know what I mean? And it's just like so much politics in that and all that shit. But like, I put all that shit aside and I'm like, yeah, you won, cool. Like, I think that's amazing. And like, it was like a super proud big brother moment, because it was like, you know, I saw Tyshawn go on stage and like he really like nailed it, you know what I mean? Like with his like who he was as a person, like he kind of like, you know, started like shedding tears, and like it felt like to me like the basketball championship moment. Right? Like I fucking did it, and I worked really hard, and it was worth it, you know? And I mean, yeah. He's a dude from New York with the fucking Skater of the Year statue in his apartment.
That's like, fucking amazing.
No one's getting that. That's it.
A lot of those kids are like, they're kind of also doing things on the side, like entrepreneurial type stuff. Like they have businesses. Na-Kel's a rapper. Sean Pablo has a brand also, right? Like,
I think like nowadays everyone can do everything, and that's what couldn't happen a long time ago. It was like the dudes that could maybe do a company, you know, like let's say, you know,
Stevie
like
kind of laid the blueprint for that whole thing a little bit.
Yeah. And, you know, I don't know if it was like they looked up to Stevie. I don't know if they really knew who Stevie was really too much. I mean, I think they do now, but I think at first it was just like, dude, it just got to the point where it was like everyone could do everything out of nowhere. It's like, hey, you got a brand? You know a friend that's doing clothing, you hit them up. How do I make shirts? They tell you how to do it, and then all of a sudden you got one. And it's like, yeah, and that's, it takes it and it waters that whole industry down too, you know what I mean? It's like now 400 people are trying to do shirt things because it's like that's what you could do to make money or whatever. But there's always the few that stick out like in that type of shit where you're like, dude, that's undeniable. That's just cool. But yeah, nowadays it's like you can do everything. And I feel like Na-Kel like wants to be the best at everything. He wants to do everything and do everything good. It's noticeable to me that he has the mindset that he wants to do everything, and that's pretty rad to see. Now, like I said, nowadays I feel like you can put your hand in everything and do it. You know what I mean?
Sage raps now too, right?
I know. He just had an album. Yeah.
Dude, it's like seriously dope. I just previewed it on Bandcamp this morning.
I know. I listened to like half of it this morning before I like went to breakfast, and I was like, I thought it was super sick. Like his beats are like unreal.
It's like old school. Like it reminds me of kind of like a '90s vibe with the sound.
Yeah, he's got good samples and shit. Whatever he's using, it's really rad. But like, and even with those two, they have their own styles, and it's really it's that fits every spectrum too. Like, and they're friends, So it's it's that time in life where you can do whatever, you can do whatever you want. But for me, it's like I know what I'm good at, and I can't do. I'm like not gonna pick up a fucking guitar and start playing tomorrow. Like I want to make movies and stick to photography and create imagery that comes from me, and it's just something that I enjoy doing too. Like whether I film skating anymore or not, I feel like be out taking photos and like being around. You know what I mean? It's like. I grew up like liking Ari and stuff, and like that stuff stuck out to me, and Ari did the same shit, and there's a group of like Nan Golden and Larry Clark, and like they all were doing you're whoever you're around is like who you want to show, and that's you're kind of like the person in that kind of just like creating images and whatever. It's like it's been in like a modern version of that, I think, in a way.
I wanted to ask you, skating with Dill and Mark at the same time seems like fucking a lot to deal with. Like love those two guys.
No.
Such big, strong personalities.
They even know it.
They probably butt heads, right?
They're like good, and then there was like, it's so funny. Like when we did Cherry, it was like, hey, like the first trip, let's like Mark's out in Paris. Let's send you and Dill out there to be with Mark and film for like 10 days and see how it is, and then come back. We'll review the footage, we'll review the footage and see how it went, and like, should we keep going with this? And I was like, fuck yeah, that sounds super sick. So me and Dill fly out there, we're mega jet lagged. And like I was telling you earlier, like, excuse me, I was like, I'm the worst with jet lag. Like I just suck at it. Like if I feel tired, I'm just laying down and going to sleep. I'm not gonna force myself. Like I just can't. I just like, cause then I just feel even shittier. We got out there, we're super jet lagged. Mark hit me up. I mean, he didn't have a phone, so it was going by email. So I got to the hotel and I'm emailing with him, and he's answering. Like sick, he's answering, And he's like, dude, I'm gonna come pick you up from the hotel. You and Dill, we're going skating. And I was like, Dill, what's up? Like Mark wants to go skating right now. Dude, it's like 6:30 in the afternoon and it's starting to get dark already. And I was like, fuck, I don't have a light. I wasn't planning on night skating in Paris. It was in Paris. So I emailed him back. And I was like, hey man, like I don't have a light, but I'm gonna go buy one tomorrow somewhere around town. And he was like, and Dill was like, dude, I'm too jet lagged. I'm not like going skating right now, like whatever. He was just like, he's like, dude, we just got in, like what? And then Mark emailed me back and he's like, we're going skating right now. Like I want to skate. So Mark pulls up to the hotel because he knows where we're at, and he yells up like, Dill, Bill, like whatever. And we're like, we're in the same room, like kicking it. And then we look out the window and like Dill's like, dude, Mark, what's up? And I was like, yo, what's good? And he's like, come on, we're going skating. And Dill's like, dude, I'm like not going skating right now. I was like, and he was like, you're going skating. Today's the only day I'm going to go. Like, he's like, today's the only day I'm going to go skating. If you don't come out now, you're not going to get anything, like that shit. And I was like, dude. And I was like, Dill, I don't have a light. He's like, whatever, dude. I think you should just go skate. And I was like, all right, I'll go skating with him. So this is so funny. I go outside. He's not out front anymore. So I'm like standing there, like with my bag and shit. I'm like, where the fuck is this dude? Like, I was just like, what's going on? And then all of a sudden I'm like facing down the street looking this way and I hear like, rah, like, dude, he went around the block and he's got a BMW. He's fucking cooking at me and he's like, like almost nails me. He's like, dude, get in, like whatever. So I get in and I can tell like Mark's like, I don't know, just on some Mark shit. And I was like, oh, I'm putting my seatbelt on, like whatever. So we try to go to this skate park. And it has this big fence around it, but I think he thought he could get in, but I don't think we ended up getting in. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh, like whatever, let's just drive around. Maybe there's some other shit. And like, it's dark now. And like, anyways, the footage I had filmed of him, I had turned my camera on because it was just like so wild. Like his dude was like doing it, you know what I mean? It was just like, what's he gonna say? He just seems like he's like on one and that footage. And then we ended up going through a tunnel we ended up like peeling out in the middle of a street, like he was going mad fast, pulled the e-brake and in the middle of the city, just doing this shit. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? And then he like started going and then went through this tunnel and it's like, let's say like 45 miles through this tunnel. This guy was going like 85. We get out the other end and all these cops are like waiting for us to pull us over.
Because they have cameras, right? That they like.
Dude, it was like, woo, like fucking mad cops pulled up.
4-star video or something?
No, it was at the end of this video, Joyride, that I made. Like, it's just this footage. And the cops pull us over, but I had the camera on. So I was like filming the cops come up to the car. And they're like, license, they were like passport, license, and neither of us had our passport on us. So he's like, dude, I've like, and like they would like, they didn't understand because Mark was being like funny, but they like would go back to their car and yeah, Mark would be like, dude, I've seen this before. And I've been watching TV like lately. They take people into jail for this shit. Like, dude, I'm not joking. And he's like, the most joyful part of the joyride is the ride to jail. That's like one of the things he says in the video. Like the most joyful.
Did you guys go to jail?
No, they actually let us go, but it was like pretty close. Like they were like,
no
dude,
ticket or anything?
They're almost like, what the fuck are you guys doing? Like that's insane. And whatever, they let us go. He dropped us off, but like whatever. Long story short, like. Yeah, they were bumping heads because it was just like, Dill would go to try something and Mark would run and cut him off and go ahead of him. And it's like, dude, Dill ain't having that shit. Like, Dill's super pissed.
I mean, I can imagine those two dudes probably like almost scrapping or something.
At times they were fucking super sick, like super psyched and dope to be around. But then at times there was just like, no, not you, me. Like, I don't know. It wasn't like, it was just felt naturally like that. But I came back and I put the footage together and yeah, like showed them and they were like, this is pretty crazy. I mean, let's keep going on it, But like most of that footage ended up being in Cherry. Like it was a double screen, like 2 screens, and then the girls kissing the canvas in the background. So that was basically like the part of that trip. Like that was like those dudes like trying the tricks up on that like bar and then like Dill smashes his board at the end, But it was like, I felt like it was a really really actually, I really love that footage.
Yeah.
You know.
And then how did Paulo end up in the video? Were you like always psyched on his skating back in the days?
I've always loved Paulo's skating. Like definitely so much like, you know, in like that chocolate video where he like plays to his own music and he what is it, De Paco, whatever.
Yeah.
I can't even remember the name. Anyways,
9 Lives of Paco. Or
yeah, whatever it is. His part in that's amazing. Like he's fucking so sick. Like it's just the way he looks is like street fighting machine. You know what I mean? He looks so cool. Yeah, but he was coming to the shop a little bit. I think Dill might have seen him at the shop and told me like, dude, Paulo came in today, and I was in New York, but he like, I was talking back and forth with him, but he was like, yeah, Paulo came to the shop, or he's been coming over to the shop to grab stuff, and I was like, dude, I forget who it was. I was like, dude, next time you see him, ask him, would he, you know, be down to film something for the video, and like. The response was like, dude, I'm down. He's down, like whatever. Yeah. So when I came to LA, I was like, get his number. And when I came to LA, I hit him up, and then I met up with him, and it was like exactly what you wanted it to be. It was like super fun, and he hadn't been skating in a while, but like for some reason he just like turned it on. Like he's just natural. Like it's no doubt that he's a natural skateboarder. Yeah. He's got it in his DNA. But, you know, we went out, and like the first day we drove out to like, I don't know if it was like Burbank or something, but he nollied over this bar. And then from that on, like I was out there for like 2 weeks, but every day it was like, Paulo, where you at? Dude, I'm like over in Silver Lake. Dude, will you grab me a board and like a pair of Adidas? And it was like always bringing him something. But in return, he like turned it on. Yeah, it was just like this like 10 days with him that was like, I'm not skating with anyone else. I really want to skate with Paulo, and that was that. And like that ended up being what his shit was in Cherry, and I just felt like his name was so like strong. It was just like I felt like his skating was very street, and no one had seen anything in a long time. And it was always like everything I ever saw Paulo that came out of nowhere, I was always like super psyched on. Like I was just like love his skating. It just looks natural.
Yeah, he's great. You've been spending a lot of time in SF lately. You guys just put out that last video.
Yeah, Candyland.
Yeah. How was that hanging out in SF?
It was great. I mean, we definitely started hanging out a lot in SF during Blessed. I think we started going there. I think when Blessed was going to come out, I felt like that's when they thought they were going to open the store, maybe. But it took a lot longer than that. But we were in SF a lot. We were skating a lot of different stuff, and obviously I like to go. I mean, Sickness came. We went to SF for Sickness, you know, and it was like 10 days. It was like a 8-day trip and like a 5-day trip or something like that. But I really loved that video when it came out. I felt like I found what my style was going to be, like really more so then, you know. I just was like. I don't know. I love SF. I feel like it's gritty enough to like be street enough to like fulfill my like mind of what skating is. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, you can't find that so much in New York as you can there. Are there a bunch of like up and coming kids, like SF kids, that are out there going to be repping Supreme, or like? They have some kids that are repping the shop and stuff out there. Some of the GX kids and like Matt Finley and. Taylor, and it's like they got something going on. I mean, SF's worth it. That's what I'm saying. It's like skate footage from there is always going to look good, I think, and it's still now as it was in like '97. It's still there. That shit is that street shit. That like. Fucking junkie / like you could get mugged and like drug dealers on the corner. That shit's everywhere there. It's still there.
I mean, I wanted to ask you about that because I heard it's like worse than ever nowadays.
I mean, I went out in '97, and it was fucking raw. Like one night I went out to the deli to get some ramen because I was fucking. That's what I was like. That was my shit. Like I was broke. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go get food. I'm starving. I was actually staying at Kyle's house with Sean Conley, Kyle, Kenny Reed, and them. They had like this 2 room studio that was like cut into 4s, and each dude lived in the same, you know, it was fucking skate shit. But I was staying there, and one night I went out to the deli to get food, and as I was walking back, I hear like, get him, like super gnarly. And I remember turning around, and all these dudes were coming at me with, all these dudes with hockey sticks chasing one dude, and they were gonna fuck him up. And I there was the cars parked down the side of the street, and I stepped between these 2 cars, and they ran on both sides and went past me. And I looked up, and somebody that was living there, I remember them like looking down at me and being like, dude. And I was like, what the fuck? It's still that shit right now. Like I could, yeah. And you know, I think in Candyland we were able to capture the essence of San Francisco and kind of give everyone an idea of like, you know, SF's still there.
Well, the shop is like kind of right in the heart of everything.
Yeah, and I mean that corner, and I asked them recently, I asked people that were working out there, I was like, dude, is that corner? Because 6th Street, that corner on Market, it goes right here, like the corner, and it goes down. It's fucked at night. Like it's just bananas. It's like a bum jam, you know what I mean? And fucking, you know, you walk through it and you're walking a runway because there's dudes leaning against the wall, kicking it, and they're selling shit on a blanket over here, and dudes are standing here, and you walk down the middle of them. So you're doing like a bum fashion show, like a fucking sketchy, junky fashion show, and you're getting through it because it's like fuckers are walking your way too that are like toothless midgets and fucking every fucking style of human that like. They're all out there.
A lot of those guys are trying to come into the shop too, probably.
Yeah, I don't know. I know security's out front, so no one's getting in the shop unless you know, it looks like they're gonna go into the shop. Yeah. But yeah, no, we were going to SF a lot. I loved Sickness, and then from, you know, after that we did a Paris video. So, you know, we hadn't gone back for a while, but during Blessed we decided to start going to SF again, and yeah, that became, you know, basically the Embarcadero section in Blast. It was like, every day we would say like, you know, it's time to embark, which meant like it's time to go in EMB every day at 5 after driving around and trying to skate all this other shit. At 5 was like, we're going down there, dudes are getting their 12-pack, and like fucking dudes are like just hanging out, and became that, and it was like my dream. I was like, this is awesome, and no one was skating it. No person, I can honestly say, no one skated there. No one. You
guys kind of like revived it. Like what's left of it.
People were skating the island right on the other side of it.
That's like a whole scene over there.
It was it was a scene.
The island.
And no one skated in Embarcadero. No one. I go down there and it'd be empty every day. But me and like Aiden especially, I think we were like, this is sick, and like we liked, like, you know, I felt like they were like, these bricks are sick, and like it's just like really finding what you can do with what's left there, you know, and I think we did as much as we could. It was like, you know, it started kind of like with Aiden doing that fake Emmanuel drop, fake Emmanuel's like, that's the sickest thing. That's what I think looks cool. And even now it's like, you know, when you see it long lens, like seeing the fountain like blasting in the background when someone's going, it just looks dope. It looks dope. It looks fucking rugged. It's shitty. There's not much to skate there, but dude, these kids keep finding ways of skating it, and it's like, you know, and like even like with the last video, Candyland, it's just like, I was just like, the fountain's on, and it looks cool in the background, and it's like, even doing something on this curb, your board could fly in the fountain, but it just still looks cool. I don't care if it's a curb trick. If you're a cool looking skater, you can kind of get away with a lot of shit, but these guys still like kill it in their way, you know what I mean? And it's like other dudes were involved with that video, and like it was just, you know, like even like Taylor's board going to the fountain, I felt like that was like your board can go in this fountain and it sucks. That water's gnarly.
That water's disgusting.
It's fucking like, it's
that shit is mad toxic.
Fucking bum grease, dude.
There's a transgender skater that's on the team or that works for the shop, yeah?
Yeah, Cher, Strawberry. Okay. She's like, when they were doing the shop, I was like, I felt like she should work there. I mean, I would.
How did she come into the mix? How did you like meet?
I've been looking at her Instagram for a while, and like, I had seen her skating and being like, she's like really good, you know. She's just talented and has her own vision and idea of what, you know. She's doing her own kind of thing, and I had hit her up on one of the last trips. And I was like, hey, I'm working on this video and I'd really like to see if you'd like to be involved in it. And like, I actually kind of know what I want you to do. So, and I'd seen her do backside heel flips. So I was like, what do you think of, you know, maybe on Thursday, we just got in on Monday, but what do you think on like Thursday coming down to Embarcadero? We'll be down there around 5. Like, would you be down? And super into it. Just like, dude, I'm down, whatever. Came down there and, you know, we're talking 30 dudes sitting on the ledge like this over here, like hanging out. I think one of them was chainsawing fucking skate stoppers off the ledge, and like everyone was standing in front of him like a wall while he was like zzz, and like whatever. They were just getting away with shit like that where no cops were stopping anybody, and like dudes were grilling down there. Like it was just like, it was exactly
it's
what
like
you
a free for all.
It's like there. Exactly what you wanted down there, what I would have wanted. But she came down and she, you know, she was like, man, I really don't skate in front of a lot of people. This is really intimidating.
A little intimidated.
Yeah, I was just like, she's like, this is intimidated. And I was like, you know what? Only, you know, skate when you feel comfortable. And, you know, and she's like, I'm going to go warm up. And she's like, you know, trying tricks in the middle of the bricks, like, you know, somewhere over there. And I think at a certain time she was just in her head like, I'm never gonna like feel comfortable with this. So she's just like, let's just start doing it. So she started back heeling it, and you know,
just over the 3, right?
No, like off the like 5 or 6, the 6th stair that's there. There's like a 6th stair.
The circular one.
Yeah. And like 4th try, she landed like a sketchy one, and everyone was like, "Oh shit!" Like everyone was stoked. Yeah. And then Atiba got his camera out, and he came over and he started shooting her. And I think that she was like, "Wow!" Like.
And she knows who all you guys are. Like.
She knew who like we were. You know what I mean? She was
like
just
into skateboarding.
Yeah, like into skating enough. Like she was like, "I can't believe Atiba's shooting my photo." Like that shit, and you're like, "That's so special, man." Like, you know, that. You know, for any new person that's skating and like, you know, like anybody coming up, like to see somebody like I said, like seeing Atiba shoot your photo, it could be anyone, and like to see somebody psyched, it's amazing, you know? And, but like when everyone was like, yo, like psyched, and like everyone was there, I'm talking 20, 30 people were down there watching, you know? And I think like maybe in her head, she was like, this is sick, like, everyone's cool, you know. Maybe she didn't feel as intimidated. She landed that thing like, you know.
I mean,
she landed that back heel like 8 times or something, and they were all like, some of them were sketchy, some of them she like put her hands down, and whatever. But I like, yeah. At a certain point, she's like, I was like, oh, you know, maybe try a couple more. I mean, and she had jumped down it like a lot, and then she was just like, at a certain point, she was like, dude, I think sketchy is cool, like, you know what I mean? And I was like, I can't disagree with you on that. So I ended up using the one that I felt was the best out of all of them, and yeah, I think sketchy's is of course. Yeah, I think she said, I think sketchy's cute. Like, why not? I was like, fuck yeah, I agree with you. Let's stop doing this. I don't want you to try it no more. And then, yeah, I was like, you know, and she was talking about how she like she like moved out of her family's into a place with like 5 of her friends.
She's from the city?
She lives in Oakland. But she was like, I live in a closet in one of the, you know, in a place with like 5 people, and like, I don't have a job and like whatever. Like, and I was like, dude, I think you should work at the shop when it opens. And she went in for an interview after like, you know, after I was like, you know, you guys would really think of this. I think this is dope, you know? And
that's amazing.
Yeah, and she went in for an interview, and they all loved her, and she's been working there. Yeah, and then she's like been getting hooked up skate-wise too. Like, so she's getting all these checks coming in, and she was like, called me, and she's like, dude, thank you so much. Like, you really you changed my life. I feel like I have family here. Like, everyone's just more than cool to me, and like it feels like these guys have my back, and I'm like,
fucking
dude,
sick, dude.
that is the sickest
Hell
shit.
yeah.
Like that, I was like, you know, you're cool as shit. I like you. You know, you're easy to work with, and you're really rad skateboarder, and it feels like you're just being you, and that's worth everything. You know, like you're just really a rad person. Yeah.
That's amazing, dude. It's fucking
Yeah, and I
sick.
think like I said, like, you know, I think Vans just picked her up, and it's like, dude, we kind of did change your life, you know, and just by you being yourself, and I could say that for every one of the kids that I film now, just by you being yourself is what everyone wanted. It wasn't like you were trying to be someone else, you know, and I think it's an important thing for people to think about when they're coming up. Like, and it's hard because when you're younger, you're looking for somebody to look up to and kind of be like, you know what I mean? For example, I wore a baby blue shirt and wore khakis because I thought, like, you know, I look like Mike Carroll in Goldfish, you know what I mean? And you know, at a certain point, I think you got to look at yourself and be like, well, who am I not like these people? If I'm just being myself, no one can be like me if I'm just being myself. And a lot of people are shy and hide themselves, and yeah, it's like, that's just how life is. Like, people can't open up like that. I mean, fortunately enough for me, I was like voted class clown, and like, I think my shyness was like, I've got to like be the goofy dude so I can like overcome my shyness. But I, like, you know, whatever, you know. I go through all different phases everyone kind of does in their life. You have too. Like, you're who you are now. When you were a youngster, you weren't the same dude. Like, you know, you were like, you're probably like a bad little fucker, you know what I mean?
Piece of shit.
Yeah, but also like, you know, you were like way more low key, I think, more than everyone else, but your skating's really fucking good, and always, you know, I always saw it, you know what I mean? And yeah, like even your shit in the menace sections and shit is like, yeah, you got a good style, so good for you, but I'm just saying, like, you were a little more low key, I think. Yeah.
I could have did a little bit more, but I think I partied a little too hard.
Yeah, but there was a point where you weren't. You were partying a lot when you were little.
Oh no, not when I was little. No.
But no, there's another thing. It's like right now, your friend would pull out a phone and film you, and like you would have footage, like whether it was you doing a kickflip on flat or whatever. But back then, the filmer to film you, it would be like, yo, Javante's film, I'm gonna film him, and you wouldn't get your chance.
Course.
You know what I mean? Or something like that. It would just be like, you had to be like, I have a line I wanna do, and like, if you didn't do it in many tries, the next time you asked, you know, if you weren't consistent enough, the next time you asked the film, they'd think about, the filmer would be like, well, dude, it took you mad long, and you
Maze would be like, nah.
Yeah. But
I know you're gonna see this, Maze.
for someone like me, is like, yeah, Kalis wants to film, I'm gonna film him because he's gonna land the shit, and he's gonna do something I've never seen him do, or something better, obviously, and that's what, you know, you're like, fuck, like dudes like him, you're like, it's just on, like, and the dude wanted to film every single day, you know, and Tyshawn too, and Pappalardo too. It's like, these dudes would get 3 things in one day, and you would go home and you'd be like, fuck yeah, like, you know what I mean? You'd be like over excited because it was like, you're checking off the list to get to the end of the, you know, these dudes have like trick lists in their fucking wallet and like shit, you know what I mean? It's like real precise shit. It's like business with Tyshawn, you know what I mean? It's like, you know,
he's very focused on what
he's focused, and it's like, you know, I've got all these tricks I want to do, and I'm gonna get them done by the end of this, you know, and no matter what, like, no one's getting in my way, and that it shows in the videos.
Yeah. You recently had the art show at Milk Studios.
Yeah.
That was sick.
Yeah, it was definitely an extension of what I've been doing, I think, in a way that I feel was like, for me, needed, like, you know what I mean? Because I have been doing the same thing for a while, and I was just like, the thing is they asked me out of nowhere. So they're like, yeah, Milk you know, Milk hit me up and was like, hey, what's up? Like, would you be, you know, we want to talk to you. Would you be into doing some sort of show here? And, you know, I was like, yeah, I'll come in for a meeting. Let's talk. And then I went in for the meeting and met Rossi, the owner of Milk, and like, you know, his assistants and stuff. And yeah, we were talking, and the whole time in my head, I knew I wanted to do my apartment in the show. Like that was like, if I do a show, I think that's one of the things. Because within this like last 10 years, so many people have come to my apartment and to like, you know, get their photo taken or come hang out for long periods of time before they went home. It's like a mix of everything, you know, so much history, you know, and I've acquired so much shit, you know what I mean? Like it's like a little museum, you know, of stuff that I own. And but yeah, I brought that up to them, and they were like, and I was like, but you have to come. I was like, but you have to come over to see my spot to understand what I'm talking about. So this isn't like some shit I'm just like throwing at the wall. It's just like, come over and see my spot. And you know, they did like 2 days later, and then, you know, they kicked it. Like they were just like sitting on my bed and sitting in the chairs, and I was like sitting in the chair, like talking to them, kind of explaining shit. And then as they got up and left, they was like, dude, let's do this. Yeah. And I was like, sick, let's do that. And that was like the first thing, you know what I mean? Yeah. The second thing was like going through all my archives of photos and stuff and films, like videos and films, and like every type of image that I could, you know, find, and what I wanted to use for the show, and was really particular. And, you know, I had help, like my friend Ruba and Danielle and Emma, and like there was like people back in it, like where that was like helping produce it. And it was really important to it because I was working on Candyland at the time, so I couldn't fully be engulfed in the other thing. But it was cool because it was like they were hitting me up like, you know, we need this by this date, and like the stuff like that. So I like that, you know what I mean? And in skating, you don't have, there's no fucking there's no structure. And you don't know when someone's gonna get up, and you don't know what time you're gonna go out film, and how long you're gonna film, or what you're gonna run into. But it was sick to see something come to life that had structure, kind of like that. And we need this by this date. What do you think of this? You don't like it? Here's like this option, you know. And it was cool because we got a foam of the gallery, like a little foam thing, and then I had picked out all the photos I liked. I was like, these are the ones. And then we printed out a big size, a middle size, and a small size. And then we taped them up around and like kind of looked to see what it looked like. And we're like, and then at a certain point after like it got to the point, it was like, this is perfect. Like, this is how it's got to look. And there's a gnarly process in it. When I went in for the first time and they had like put the like mock photos on the wall, like the printouts, and I I walked into the gallery and saw them on the wall where they're gonna be, and I was like, fucking, this is it. Like I was like, it felt very me, you know what I mean? Like the images that were picked, and it was super sick that Dill did, he did a board for it, and he was like, it was his idea, like to do the wall on the bottom, but also come up with the stickers of everyone. I had to give him the images, but he like made like, a sticker-rama board kind of thing. And I thought that was a really good idea. And like Supreme, James was down to do a shirt, and like, dude, Milk did merch and stuff, and it was awesome, Yeah. And for me, like, it was the first thing that I ever did, and I felt like it was a really big thing. And it also was Milk's last show before they moved, because I think they're moving to Brooklyn. But they were like, hey, you're gonna have the last show here. And I was like, and I knew that beforehand, so I was like, all right, they're giving me the option to do this. They're helping, they're basically paying for it, and they're also telling me it's going to be the last show here. I'm going to try my hardest to make it extravagant, and express myself. Like every other day I was bringing more and more videos to put on that wall, so it was always like different, you know what I mean? And I just have a lot of shit, like, a lot of times when everyone came over to my apartment, I would just sit there and like film with like a Hi8 camera or something, and that footage is amazing. It's like, dude, and it's just like none of those kids, they don't look like that anymore, you know what I mean? And it's like to see that up on the screen with like a skate video I did and another, you know, it's like, it's just, I was really proud of it, you know, and
I'm an idiot because I didn't get a photo in front of the.
I know you're gonna.
I'm gonna have to come over here.
I think for the
you gotta invite me over so I get the real one.
I think that I mean you could come over anytime, but the opening was just like I wasn't. It was just like you're going through that. There's security, like making sure no one steals anything, and I wasn't really shooting photos really the first few whatever, like the first week, but I think after like a couple weeks in, I was just like over there. I was kept going a lot because I was really worried about my stuff, because a couple days they were like, hey, like an intern's just gonna sit in here today and not a security guard, you know, and like, you know, it's like, that's, if like Dylan's shirt gets taken, I'm gonna like be pissed at everyone, or like something really, there's a lot of all my personal stuff in there. It's like, dude, I have a lot of emotional attachment to some of this stuff, and if it gets taken, I'm gonna like go on a tangent, you know, it's like gonna be a bummer for me. I
didn't even think about that.
Yeah, no, it was all like my place was empty. I had a mattress on the floor, and I would come home and eat, and then I would go back the next day because I was like, I just wanted to be there, you know, to like just be there and make sure that my stuff was okay. It was like mostly it. But then I started being like, you know what, fuck it. And like somebody was in my room and I was in there, I was like, dude, stand right there. Let me take a photo of you. And then I started doing that. And then everyone that was coming through, I was like, let me take a photo of you. Let me take a photo of you. And then I started like purposely going there to do that. And then every night just posting it on my story just to be fun. But it was sick because these are all new people that knew about it, but never, you know, and there was people that didn't know about it. It'd be like, you know, an old couple that were just coming in to see what it was. And I'm like, hey, will you come into my room and just let me take a photo or whatever? And they were like, sure, you know, and take a photo of them. But I think at the end, looking at the end of the day when I would post them all, there'd be like 100 of them or whatever.
Yeah, that was a lot.
I would just see those people, and I personally saw how excited they were, because there was people coming from other states and shit, you know, some lady and her daughter, like her daughter wanted to come to the show, so they flew from Vancouver to come to the show.
That's crazy.
And I was like, I understand like Montreal and Toronto, but like Vancouver, and they were like,
damn,
this is what she wanted to do, and they had, you know, they could easily get on a plane and do it, I guess. And there was some kids from Toronto that got on a Greyhound bus. He didn't have the day to work, so he got on a Greyhound, came down, hung out at the show for 3-4 hours, and then went back on the Greyhound. And it's like, yo, let me take your photo. That's dedication. And you know, every time I would post them, they would hit me like, dude, thank you so much. Your show is so amazing. And then they would take it and repost it, you know, and like whatever. It's like, it's what I want to do. You know what I mean? It's like, it's funny because like people, you know, people will say shit, you know, like people will be like, dude, you're like overdoing it. It's like, dude, I'm not overdoing anything. I'm just doing me, like, you know, and it's funny, but like people are haters, you know, and
I mean,
that comes with the territory.
It comes with it, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. And personally, meeting these people and stuff was like really dope. Like they were cool fucking people, and people were excited and interested in why I would have even done something like that in the first place. But
what are you working on now, like coming up, like with Supreme or personal stuff?
Working on like just the new season, spring and summer is coming up, and we got, you know, we're getting ready for that, and it's gonna be great. The stuff, you know, the clothes are looking really great this summer and spring. That stuff. We're in talks about doing another like little video project. Japan, I might be doing a show there at this gallery called the Mass Gallery, and it's fucking amazing. When I was out there, I went and looked at it. It was super sick. So maybe in like September or October. I don't know. It's early talk, so it might not happen, but it could possibly happen. I don't know. I'm just kind of going with the flow, you know what I mean? So little things. I like little things too, you know what I mean? Little hits, you know what I mean? Like I have like a photo on the Agnes B show in a couple days, and just like those little things. And a lot of people are asking me to do stuff now, like just in general, just a lot of people are like, dude, would you
hot
do
right
a photo? It's not that I don't know if I am, but it's pretty interesting to see like after a show like that, like people like actually taking their time to like email me and write me and ask me. You know, it's like, where were you guys like 5 years ago? You know what I mean? Like I could have been doing this a long time ago and been way far along. Owned 2 apartments in the city, you know, like, but yeah, now I guess is the time, you know, right now I think it's the time, you know, it's like where can I take this, you know?
Your girlfriend who bought you your first camera, is she aware of what you're doing now?
She actually, I had texted her when I did the show, and I was like, hey.
Did you invite her?
I did. I actually texted her and said, hey, like, I have this show. It would be really cool if you came up and see it because you're a big part of why something like this would be here. And I haven't seen her in a while. And she like she's married and has kids and stuff, but she ended up coming up because she has friends in New York too. So she came up to see them, but they all came to the show and it was really funny. And like her kids were like running around my room and shit. And it's just like such a fun, life is so weird like that. But I was like, yo, let me take a photo of you guys in front of the wall. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just, it was cool. You know what I mean? And she was wearing like this old sweatshirt that I like probably left there, and it was. Because
that's what she said. She told you like, if I'll get you this camera if you're gonna like make something out of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think she was just like, I didn't want to work a regular job, and I worked at a like coffee shop for a little bit, and then I worked at Bertucci's, which was like the skate pizza spot.
There's always one in San Francisco. We had Zaw.
Yeah, it's like the one place that like, hey, they'll give this skater a job and he'll deliver pizzas, and like, you know, Serge worked there, and like everyone, like Rob worked there, you know, a bunch of people worked there. And I was just like, at one point, I was like, I got the job there and I fucking hated it. It was like I liked my other jobs, but this one, like, for some reason, like, I was just like, I just don't like delivering a pizza to fucking someone. It just sucked. Like going up and knocking on someone's door, hey, here's your pizza. And like, people are just dicks to those type of, you know, those people that deliver stuff, like, you know. But a week after I got that job was, you know, Joe Castrucci called me up and he was like, what's up? Hey, we're gonna start working on a video. We can like pay you, and we just want you to start like filming with Josh and maybe like Wenning and Pappalardo. Here's the list of everyone. I mean, I had Deerdick's number, I had fucking Freddie's number, I had, you know, Abe's number. I had the list of, here's the list. I'm gonna email it to you or whatever. And yeah, right away I was like, I'm done with working here. I'm getting a check. And I quit community college at the same. I quit everything because I was like, I want to do this, you know what I mean? I got to dedicate myself to this, and I wanted to do that. Yeah. I was like, this is way cooler. I get paid to film skating, you know, and you know, and the story goes is like I looked down the list, and the least intimidating dude was Pappalardo, so I called him first, and I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, oh, what's up? I was like, you want to meet in New York this weekend? I'll take the Greyhound up. And he was like, dude, let's do it. And I was like, that kind of like was the start.
The rest is all history. Sick, dude.
Yeah.
Well, shit, man. I think that's all I got.
Cool. Well, thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, thanks for coming through.
No doubt.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
That's a wrap. Episode 17. Follow us on Instagram. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, and we're now on Spotify. Peace.